Roger. Center maintain 2000.
Center maintain 2000, 74.
I'm at 504, descend to maintain 3000.
3000, I'm at 504. And for Captain 74 is our traffic about our 1230.
At 12:31 o'clock, Captain 724 now.
Okay, we got it.
Captain 724, maintain visual separation from the candidate, clear visual approach, runway 4 right.
This is visual 4 right, maintain visual separation from traffic, Captain 724.
I'm at 504, ready to speed at 170 for tower space. You can follow Boeing 727, 1 o'clock, 6 miles right stage, descending out at 3500.
We got to hit this side with 170.
I'm at 504, follow traffic, clear visual approach, runway 4 right, maintain 170 knots, 5 mile final.
170 so far out.
Captain 724, maintain 170 knots, 5 mile final, contact Boston Tower 160.
5 mile final, Captain 74.
I'm at 504, traffic behind the left, speed at Embraer 135 to the parallel runway, that maintain visual separation from you.
504. Okay, that's what it's saying.
Take a 570, clear visual approach, runway 4 left.
There you go, 570.
Take a 470, traffic, 1238 miles, 3,600, descending for the parallels on our deck.
I'll look at 570.
I'm at 504, contact Boston Tower 132.22.
32.2, so what if I go forward?
Physical 5 final. We'll clear the visual 4 right. That's Canada 354. Okay, information Delta Nocturnal. Canada 3028, Harry, whatever, please.
Bridge 40 and Red Clear Visual Bridge, runway 4 left.
One stage edge, site maintaining visual separation, contact Boston Tower 132.22. Okay, 3222, Canada 354.
539, maintain at least 170 knots to 6 GMA, please.
1760,
Mega 539, thanks. Contact Boston Tower 128.8.
28, no?
Yes.
Gabby 724, right, descend and maintain 2000.
Descend and maintain 2000, 74.
I'm at 504, descend and maintain 3000. 3000, I'm at 504.
And for that 74 is our traffic about our 1230.
That's 12:31 o'clock, Gabby 724 now.
Okay, we got it.
Gabby 724, maintain visual separation, the Canada clear visual approach, runway 4 right.
Clear visual 4 right, maintain visual separation from traffic, that's visual.
I'm at 504, we need speed of 170 per tower stage. You get following Boeing 727, 1 o'clock, 6 miles right stage, descending on at 3500.
We got hit inside with going back 170 from 504.
I'm at 504, follow traffic, clear visual approach, runway 4 right, maintain 170 knots to 5 mile final.
170 so far out, and visual 4 right, back at 504.
Yeah, 724, maintain 170 knots to 5 mile final, contact Boston Tower 132.22.
5 mile final, Canada 74.
I'm at 504, traffic behind the left, being an Embraer 135 to the parallel only, that maintains visual separation from you.
504 right. The same as the airplane, right?
Mega 570, clear visual bridge, runway 4 left.
There it is, the 570.
Mega 470, traffic, 1238 miles, 3,600, descending for the parallels on RJ.
I was in 570.
Comment 504, contact Boston Tower 132.22.
Boston Tower 128.8.
288, take it easy, 57.
Yeah.
Centuries ago, famed mathematician Katherine Johnson wrote, "The whole idea of going into space was new and daring. There were no textbooks, so we had to write them." Now, the United Federation of Planets stands on a new brink of exploration and learning, yet again pushing beyond the bounds of contemporary understanding, and for a new dawn proclaim proudly once again, these are the Voyages of.
Hey, everybody, and welcome. Am I doing the intro? Is that what
You
we're
are.
doing? Oh, fantastic. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Voyages of our Star Trek Adventures podcast. Our Star Trek Adventures game here on Rook and Rasp. I haven't done podcasts in like 3 years. Why am I saying it? We are using the Star Trek Adventures rules from Modiphius. As a reminder, we are not affiliated with Modiphius. We just really enjoy their game. Welcome to everyone here. Tonight, Kennedy is running us. We've got Amber playing Commander Halata. Sean is playing Lieutenant Commander Keith Haskins. I don't have notes in front of me. I'm doing this off the top of my head. Sorry about that. I'm playing Lieutenant Commander Tox Garahar, and then Danny is playing Lieutenant Rosrin Irax, our current paranoid character. That's all that Rosrin is just paranoid.
But I'm right.
Isn't paranoia when the entire universe is out
That's
to get
what
you?
I'm saying. Or is it just prudent behavior? That's what I'm saying.
So we are we're gonna have Kennedy do the show tonight. I'm just all over the place. Great. But don't forget, like we've got lots of options for tipping. If you want to make Kennedy jump through hoops, tipping is the way to do that, and that's what I like to do. Is make Kennedy jump through hoops. So don't forget to do that. Also, you can name characters and make them part of the story. We have integrated several characters at this point, some a little more than others through happenstance. But yeah, feel free to tip. There is a tipping menu that I'm sure someone's going to put up if I don't, and I'll let them do that. Tonight is Snowfall, so I'll go ahead and start with the log, right? And then I'll let Kennedy actually take over.
Yeah, unless you want me to read it.
No, I got it. It's actually my log, so that makes sense. Personal log, Tox Garahar. Our mission in the Gamma Quadrant is supposed to be ongoing, and considering the time constraints we are under, I wish I could still be aboard the Serenitis, but I'm being recalled from our mission for personal reasons. I received communication from the Judge Adjutant General's office requesting that I travel to Starbase 16 for the beginning of a trial for the incident back on Boleus. Due to the sensitive nature of the case, Starfleet feels we should move the trial to a neutral place with more strict security precautions. Joining myself and my brother on our trip to Starbase 16 is Commander Mark Jacobson, who has agreed to cooperate with the investigation into the Orion Syndicate. We're also traveling with the prisoner we obtained from the planet S2E7 so that he can be remanded into the custody of the Starfleet penal colony near the station. Every available security precaution has been taken, and we have been ordered not to stop for anyone.
All right. Well, glad y'all could join us here tonight. So, for the brave crew members of USS Serenitis, you are on board the runabout, the Wabash, which is making best possible speed to Starbase 16. Everything in that log is correct. You have been notified that you have been given special clearance not to stop for any kind of hailing frequencies, and that you are to stick to a very specific and confidential flight path. You've all been briefed on this a dozen times, and you all know what's at stake here. You are pretty much transporting one higher-ranking informant on the Orion Syndicate, which is very rare. And you're also transporting a Cardassian Glenn Davris, who was he was the Bajoran Cardassian from the colony that you guys managed to take with you, and is also willing to give testimony into the relation between the Orion Syndicate and the New Way. And so far the trip has been pretty boring. You have literally been shuttled across the quadrant by other ships. You've had to go to a couple out-of-the-way places, nothing really interesting. It looks to anybody who might encounter your runabout in space that you are just a Federation courier. You know that with... let me find his name. The Judge Adjutant General Kent Hammerhorn has pretty much given you specific orders on how to treat the prisoners. And while the prisoners aren't being given luxurious accommodations, they're not in restraints, and they're not being threatened. But you do know that Jacobson has been spending a lot of time in the back room of the runabout, because the back bay of the runabout is that enormous conference room. And it looks like he's been enjoying all the food possible from the replicator.
Sorry. His name is Hammerhorn?
Kent Hammerhorn.
Okay.
See, the reason that I named him that is because I see a lot of commercials for attorneys, and they've all got names like that.
No, that's
And
fair.
You
That's fair.
might even recognize that there's a specific attorney who is the Hammer.
Oh,
That's
goodness. So you've been watching too many ambulance chasers, is what I'm hearing.
It couldn't have been Bob Loblaw's Loblog.
I'm
what-
one Wamsley.
Where are
were
we at
you-
on threat and momentum?
Oh, we're I want to say that
8-4
you're all
is
starting off with the 2 momentum, and that I have 0 threats so far.
You should start with threat. Threat's always important to start with.
Oh, I guarantee you I'm going to get some.
Okay.
That's terrifying.
What? No, I don't know what you're talking about. But since it is kind of important, where would you all be on board this ship?
I'm assuming I'm piloting the ship in some form or fashion. Is it just the 4 of us for Starfleet?
The 4 of you, your brother Ven is on the ship, although he's not Starfleet necessarily. There's no other crewmen, because he wanted to keep the complement small. And there's just the Cardassian and the Jacobson.
Okay. Then yeah, I'm piloting the ship.
I would be on the... I don't know, is it still a bridge on a runabout?
Yeah, it's the weird little standing bay that's behind where the people pilot it. It's technically the bridge, even though it's a podium.
Okay.
I'm
there.
We all started talking at the same time.
Yeah.
Russian's gonna be checking and making sure, keeping an eye on the people they were transporting, for sure, and making sure they're not up to anything.
And
They get their own one piece.
Key's going to be at one of the side consoles that's on the runabout, usually probably associated with the science station, probably going over researching neural interfaces after their last encounter they had.
Okay. Ven is looking at you, and he's just kind of, he sits down on one of the nearby chairs, and you can see he's just tapping away on a pad. But you can tell that he looks pretty nervous, and he just kind of looks at you, gives you kind of like a half-hearted smile, and then just keeps going back to tapping away on his pad.
What are you working on there, Vid?
Oh, so remember that novel I've been working on? I just thought I'd work on it to pass the time because it sounds really cool, and I just had this really great idea about, you know, I think it would be really cool. It's like a fantasy novel set during Boleus's space age, and it's got some really cool characters, and figured I'd go ahead and work on it, try to get it done.
Yeah. Nothing-
Yeah.
Anything
Go
bothering
ahead
you?
and roll your insight plus command. Difficulty 1.
Good, I got a 1.
Yeah, so he's your brother, and you know that he's been working on a novel, and it's by your estimation, it's okay. It's more like fan fiction at this point, but your BS detector's going off, where you can just tell that he's holding back again.
Sure. Anything bothering you?
Well, what would be bothering me? I mean, we're just going to some space station, and apparently the Orion Syndicate is after us, and it's only the Orion Syndicate, which is like the best of all the awful syndicates out there. Why would I be worried?
I don't know. I mean, we're in a state-of-the-art ship here. You know, we're traveling through Federation space, which is relatively safe. I think we're doing fine. We bested them last time, didn't we?
Well, I mean, you guys did. I was mostly locked up, but
Right. So it's a good thing you're here with us now.
it's just, I don't know. I really don't want to testify. I was barely involved, and this just, we proved I didn't steal trilithium resin. Why do I have to be here?
You know, it's all paperwork, and it's all paperwork. It really is paperwork. But we also need to, make sure that Jacobson sees appropriate justice, and that we get the syndicate taken care of appropriately. Um, the chat did buy us 1 momentum and 2 threat, which we appreciate, chat. Thank you.
Thank you, chat.
I like how chat felt, oh no, you really need to get threat early. It's just, you need.
Listen, if we didn't have a strict rule about not buying threat, I would have already bought you threat.
Oh, don't worry. I knows what's going on. And moving on from our bridge, Rosrin is watching Jacobson and Davris, correct?
Yes. And when he's not doing that, he will be making sure that he knows the security protocols they're going to need to go through when they get there, in and out, because that's how Rosrin is. So, yes, he is keeping an eye on these two, and he is making sure he has all his P's and Q's about the security protocols.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because it gives me time to let you know what you've been informed of. So they're not in restraints, and they're wearing like the slate gray penal colony uniforms, the little onesies that all of them wear. But around their arms, they have an armband on, which is synced up to everyone's tricorders. You've been given the communicator frequency for it, and it's a tracking system. And you know that it's sophisticated enough that it will disable transporters, because it naturally releases a scattering field. And you can determine their biosigns. You can determine, where they're at, and it because prisoners. They're going to be informing on the Orion Syndicate, but they're prisoners.
Right.
And as you're looking at, your tricorder, you see a dot moving closer, and Davris enters the room and kind of just like shivers a little bit, and then walks over to the replicator and orders some hot soup.
Okay. And he's been doing that, right? Like using the replicator a lot.
Jacobson has.
Jacobson has, okay.
Can we tell that his
All
cholesterol is much higher than it was?
I mean, is it particularly cold in this room for him to shiver?
It's Federation normal, which you would understand would be a little chilly for a Cardassian.
Right. Okay, yeah. Cardassians. All right. All right, fine. Soup to warm up. All right, cool. All right. Yep. Just a little, little eye contact, just.
Davris kind of shrugs and just goes to sit down next to Jacobson, but Jacobson kind of scoots away a little bit. And you can tell that between the two prisoners, neither of them likes each other that much.
What a shame.
What is Halata doing again?
I am, I think, on the bridge. Just kind of like keeping an eye on things.
Okay. And then Keed. It's Keed Haskins, right? Or is it Keed?
Yeah. Keed Haskins. Haskins being my last name. Surname. Father's name.
As you're going through your records, you're just you've logged in for the millionth time the current bio readings of the prisoners. They appear fine. Every time that they have food, you just do a quick little scan just to make sure they're not eating poison, and so far they're okay. So when you joked about cholesterol, it looks like Jacobson's been eating a lot of cake and bread. About to go to jail. He's enjoying using the replicator privileges while he's got them. But Halata, you were checking your console for, again, the millionth time, because you've got that Federation training going on. And it's at that point that you notice that there's something wrong with one of your antimatter pods. Those are the parts of the ship which store the antimatter used for generating the warp field. It starts to slowly climb up in its radiation warnings.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna flag probably Tux to look at that.
Yeah. I'll take a look at that.
Uh,
I'll take a look.
Before you roll, I'm just giving you information that you know because you're Starfleet officers and you've all had pilot time. Never good for the antimatter to act up on a ship because the antimatter will explode. And then as you're watching it, it seems like the readings go all over the place, and yet the ship's performing normally. And then you notice that the screen starts to glitch out on you, and it's at that point you need to make a control plus engineering to determine what's going on with the ship.
Would this fall under warp field dynamics?
Yes, it would.
Fantastic. I'm going to give you a threat so I can get an extra die. Bold. Bold engineering. What's the how many successes do I need?
Difficulty 2.
How about 4?
Well, I wanted 2, but I'll take 4. Okay. So you start fiddling with the controls, and you actually like start to find like subroutines, trying to figure out what's going on, and you find that there's a strange subroutine that's been inputted into your console. And by the time you deactivate the subroutine, you realize that you're almost on empty. It looks like your gauges were telling you that the ship was full of antimatter, and it's not. It looks like your antimatter pods are almost empty, and your warp field is about to collapse. You will definitely not have enough time to make it to the starbase that you were going to. You're running on fumes, essentially.
What is nearby?
All right, go ahead and roll for me, and anybody can do this if they're near the ship sensors. Roll your insight plus. Well, let's go with science.
So, is this a sensor sweeps are typically reason science?
Oh, that's right, they are. All right, reason science.
Astronavigation apply?
It does.
Fantastic. How many successes do we need?
You just need the 1.
Fantastic. I got 1.
All right. Pretty much from the range that you're able to do the quick math in your head, you're only going to be able to go maybe another couple of systems before your ship will just run out of antimatter, and then you're stuck using impulse, which essentially means dead in the water, because impulse drive won't get you anywhere. No. You do see that there is an old Federation space station nearby. It's not the station that you were heading to, but it is a Federation station. It is a deep space station known as K3.
Commander, we seem to have been bamboozled, I believe is the human term. We're going to have to come out of warp. There's K3, putting it up on your screen, is the closest, I think, best option for us to go to. We are all but out of antimatter.
Did we forget to fill up before we left the ship?
That's not my job. No, I don't.
Who was supposed to get gas? Who used this last? What the heck?
It looks.
Who used this last might be a very good question, considering it looks like sabotage.
It looks like a malicious program was inserted into our computer as well to make our gauges read otherwise.
Well, if it is the closest option and we need more fuel, there's not much choice. I will go talk to Rosrin about how best to lock down the ship while we are there.
Commander, I think we should arm ourselves as well.
That seems reasonable, yes.
If we're going to arm ourselves, can we maybe put our...
She's not going to shoot you, or he's not going to shoot you this time, don't worry.
No. Should we, if we're going to be armed, can we put our prisoners back into handcuffs or some kind of restraint?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to Rosrin first, and then we'll get everything sorted out from there.
Mm-hmm.
Let the head of security do their head of securitying. I have words tonight. Sorry, guys.
You're fine.
That's right.
It was all English. It made sense.
So I assume you come in and tell Rosrin all this.
Uh-huh.
He looks concerned but not surprised, because this feels like, of course, that's the way this went, right? So
Mhm.
he's like, all right, okay, well, and he's gonna like go in his mind like the best way they can handle this, because they had it drilled into him, and you know how Rosrin takes these things as important that they were not to divert in any kind of way. So his spots are definitely itching about this. So he's gonna reach back into his knowledge and see what's the best way that they can protect themselves while they have to stop and take care of this. I guess would be the easiest thing. So I mean, he would definitely check that everything that now that he knows that their sensors had been messed with, their gauges had, he's gonna look for anything like that. I mean, if things were telling him that his security stuff was all good and it wasn't, that's bad. So he's gonna check and make sure his security stuff has not been messed with. That's first what he's gonna do. Can I do that?
Yeah. Do you have any? So you're, pretty much what you're trying to do is you're trying to go through and check all of the safeguards just to make sure that everything's
Right.
working. That'll take a little bit, so you're going to have to go through everything that's on the books. But go ahead and roll Insight plus Security.
All right, cool. Alrighty then.
Oh, difficulty of 1.
Two successes.
Okay. Do you want to use that extra success for more information?
Yes, please.
So as you go through all the records, you find that apparently the subroutine was inserted back when you were on the Serenitis, which pretty frightening. But nothing else appears to have been tampered with. The armbands work; they work as promised. You're not finding any explosive material on the ship. It doesn't appear like the ship's been sabotaged in any other way. It just looks like your ship doesn't have enough fuel. And the theory that's going through your mind is that somebody
made us stop, and the trap is going to be somewhere where we're being forced to stop, if there is one. That's what's going through my mind right now. Unless you were going to say something else.
No, that's pretty much exactly it.
Right. Yeah. So, because that was Danny's paranoid thought. Like, if they're not messing with anything else, they want us to stop here. So, yeah, he will say that. He will say, Commander, I think since I cannot find anything else, and they simply wanted us to run out of gas without our knowledge, I can't help but think that whatever they have planned is going to be at the starbase of some kind.
That is why I would like you to try to plan for scenarios there and figure out how you would like the ship locked down to keep the prisoners both safe and here.
Yes. And he said also, it seems like, I don't know if you have gathered all this already, if so, but this was done on the Serenitis, which is not good. That somewhere, somehow, something slipped through.
Yeah, that is not ideal, but we will have to figure out how that happened, probably at a later date.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Rosin will then, he'll do what he was asked. After he makes sure his stuff was working, he will go through and try to figure out how best to secure the prisoners, and make sure weapons get distributed, like Dr. Haskins suggested, and all of that.
So you know that there is like a general like bunk room on board the runabout, and it does have a shield that locks it in place. So it's a rudimentary cell. It's not a very sophisticated cell, but once you make Jacobson and Davris get in there, they're pretty much used to it at this point. Is anybody sharing what's happened with the prisoners?
Roswin wouldn't, I don't think. If the commander wants to, or somebody else does, sure. But I don't think Roswin would mention it. I mean, if they ask, about the stop, if they like notice, like, hey, why are we stopping, or we aren't there yet, or whatever, Rajma would just say, we had to make a quick stop, but it's nothing to worry about, or something like that. Unless the commander thinks we should tell them, and has told him to do so. But other than that, he's not going to tell them exactly what's happening.
Stopping for snacks and gas. Just sit tight.
Are they aware of the protocol that we were not supposed to stop at all?
No, they only know that they're going off to their final final destination for the trial. They were not informed of anything else.
Okay. Yeah, if they don't know that we weren't supposed to stop, I don't really want to make them worry. I feel like they might worry more if they knew we weren't supposed to stop and then we were, and then it'd be good to tell them. But like,
right. Yeah. Yeah. So Rajan would just tell them we had to make a stop. It should be quick, relatively.
Matt?
Does the commander come back on the bridge at some point, I take it?
Yeah.
Commander, do you think maybe we should break out the rifles?
Well, Rosrin distributed gear, right?
So, in the system, we have to make a decision to pull out rifles, and there's a cost for it. It's 1 momentum and 2 threat. We have to spend a momentum and give the GM threat. That's why I'm asking officially if we're breaking out the rifles.
Got it.
It has mechanical effects, but once we spend that for once, it gives all of the player characters access to it if they want it.
That would probably make Rosrin feel better, but he'll go with whatever the commander would like to do.
I assume Rosrin's got a whole bandolier full of grenades and has painted his face to blend in with the jungle, even though we're on a starship. Whatever.
He paints his face to meld into the wall, or one of the doors.
I've got headcanon where Rosrin is trying to come up with some kind of photon torpedo grenade launcher.
Don't give them ideas.
But the photon torpedo grenade launcher has to look like the old Super Nintendo blaster.
Yes.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Awesome.
So I would say yes to the question initially asked of breaking out the rifles.
So we'll give 2 threat. That puts us at 5. Gee, I wonder where you're going to get all this threat, Kennedy. And then we'll spend 1 momentum, puts us down to 4.
All right. So as you start to break out the rifles and the prisoners are safely put into their rudimentary cell, you arrive at the Deep Space Station. If you've ever seen the original series episode Trouble with Tribbles, that's the station that this looks like, and it looks very old. At one point, this was the peak of Federation technology. Now it looks like they have to use an obscure replicator to make the parts to keep it going. There is an old Archer-class vessel guarding it. It's just a Federation patrol ship, which is not unusual for these deep space stations. You do see that it has old-style phaser banks on it, but you would be surprised if all of them worked. And the moment that you enter the system, you receive a hail from the station.
All right. So accept the hail.
Who is, or?
I'm not.
I am.
Okay. This is Commander Pete Davenrow of Deep Space K3. What are you doing here? We're not scheduled for any kind of cargo drop-offs for at least another week.
This is Commander Halata of the Serenitas. I am here on an unscheduled stop. Unfortunately, it appears that there was a complication in our travel, and we need to refuel.
Okay. Well, we can certainly accommodate you. Just so you know, our antimatter reserves are currently a little low. We're expecting a shipment, but it'll be any day now. We'll go ahead and flag you into the system. So you receive automated instructions on where to dock. Your ship. It's a standard docking sequence. You don't have to roll anything. A tractor beam hits your vessel, and it's a little rougher than you're used to, because you're used to more modern tractor beams. But you are deposited safely in the shuttle bay, and you see as soon as you open up the doors to your runabout, a man in a commander's uniform with an aide next to him, waiting for you.
Was our mission in any way secret, or?
It was.
Okay, so, Commander, I don't think we need to let anyone on or off the ship that doesn't absolutely need to.
Well, agreed.
I mean, I'm sure Rosrin has his own voice for these things, but I can only assume that he would very much.
Rajman definitely agrees with that.
Yeah.
Very much so. Heartily, even.
I think that we should also scan the station for Orion signatures and the sector as best we can.
Please do so.
Absolutely agree.
So I'm going to do a sensor sweep, which I'm totally good at, I promise. Actually, I'm not that bad at it.
I'm pretty sure you're better at it than I am.
Well, if we're searching for a specific biosignature, I could probably run a scan for Orions and leverage my medical talents.
That's a good idea. You should do that.
Yeah.
And then you can run the scan for ships in the
For
system.
ships, yeah.
So I would use reason and medicine.
Sounds
for the
good.
scan. That is 2 successes for me.
Yeah. What's our target number here?
So you were trying to scan for the Orions and on board the station, correct?
Mhm.
That would have been 2.
I got 2.
Okay. You do not find any Orion signatures, but you're having trouble pretty much piercing the hull. You know that's not uncommon. You're trying to use the sensors inside of the space station, and these old stations were shielded against sensors. They're a byproduct of the Federation Klingon Cold War. But you do manage to scan most of it, and you don't believe you're detecting any Orion signatures.
Commander, the station, it's that old technology. They're shielded, but I was able to scan most of it. I'm not picking up any Orion signatures at all.
All right, thank you.
What's the difficulty for scanning the system?
Scanning the system from inside here would be very difficult, which it's going to be a 4, because you're trying to use your runabout, pierce through the station, and scan the entirety of the system.
Could I use the ship to patch into their sensors and use their sensors to scan?
That's going to require actually talking to someone in control of the sensors for the station.
Or hacking my way in?
You want to hack your way in? Yeah, you can do that.
I'll go ahead and scan from in here.
I like the distrustful way this is going.
I will spend a momentum to get an extra die. Sorry, I'm looking to see if there's anything.
This is why Tox and Rajan are friends.
Yeah, very good. So this was reason science, right?
Yes.
Okay. Warp field dynamics, if I'm looking for warp signatures?
I'm going to say no,
That's
because
fair.
you're just trying to do a scan.
Cool, that's 3, so no.
You don't quite accomplish your goal, so you could say with confidence that you don't detect any ships in the system. I will give you one thing, though. You learn that the Archer-class ship that's guarding the station is in bad need of disrepair, and it does not have a working warp engine. It is mainly there as a defensive measure.
Fantastic.
Meanwhile, you had a little beep beep at the hatch to the runabout.
The doorbell.
Yeah. So, well, I guess I gotta go make nice and get us fuel. So I go do that thing.
You opened the hatch. You were greeted by the commander that you saw through the little view screen, and he has a very warm personality. And he goes, "Hello, welcome to our little slice of the Federation. What are you doing here, if I might ask?"
Unfortunately, it's not something I can share. This is very much not a planned stop, but we do just need to get fuel and get going as fast as we can.
Well, unfortunately, we don't really have any additional antimatter. I mean, we have some that we keep in reserve, but that's only to be used in case of combat.
So like, in terms of Starfleet protocol, is there something I could say that like would work and not also give away details of what we're doing?
So while you're on a secret mission, you weren't given any, you're not given any authority that would just outrank like a commander of his station. You
Yeah.
can make requests. You can say you're doing this on behalf of Starfleet and the JAG, but it would be up to him if he believes you to turn over any resources that you might need.
Okay.
And if he checks his duty log, it's probably only going to say that you're on special detached duty from
Right.
Starfleet. That's the official story, and then if he tried to confirm your story, that would take time.
Right. So the mission that we're on is of a sensitive nature and of a very time-sensitive one. We were not supposed to stop at all. Unfortunately, there was some sabotage. And so we did not realize that we were as low on fuel as we are.
Gosh.
Yes, our sensors read that we were full when we were not.
That's strange. Are you all okay?
Yes, there's no harm done. It just meant we had to make an unscheduled stop. So I know that what you have is for reserves for combat only, but if there's any way you could spare some, we need to get where we're going as fast as we can.
I'm not sure. I mean, we're under very strict orders. Are you certain that you need that fuel?
Yes.
You realize I'm going to have to confirm your story. I mean, I'm going to have to contact the Judge Adjutant General himself to confirm the basics of your story.
If that is what you feel you need to do, the faster we can get that done, the better. But I do know that's going to take time, and we don't have a lot of that.
Should I be concerned about what you're carrying on your vessel? I like Keats in the background, like,
Yeah, and Rostron's like,
My concern is that the sabotage was designed to make us stop here. Thus, if we are out of here faster, there should be no harm to you.
that is very
Because
obvious.
we won't be here for them to find.
You should be aware that we have families on board this station.
I did not want to stop here. I promise you. But it was the only option.
I understand that we are just a simple supply depot, but we have families here, we have shops. If this is of an urgent nature, then I will by all means help you, because I don't want to put their lives in danger at all. But
Right.
I am
And
going to
neither
have
do
to I am going to have to confirm this. But what I am willing to budge on, I will start the orders to give some of our fuel reserves to your ship, but I'm going to ask for you to come with me just so that I can confirm the basics of your story.
Absolutely.
Can I look up any information on this space station? Like, he wants to look up, like, how long has this been here? Who's actually in charge of it? What do they look like? Because, Roswell will put it past anybody to, like, pretend to be the commander of a space station.
So if you just want to access the official records, you don't need to make a roll for that. But if you want to try to make sure that they're legit, you will have to make a roll.
I would like to make a roll because, yes.
Was the conversation between Commander Halata and Commander
Pete Davenport.
Pete Daver. You know what? Between Commander Halata and Davro, was that public enough that we could have heard that?
I'm gonna say yeah.
Commander?
Yes.
And I will look at the other commander and then look back at you very pointedly. Could I speak with you inside for a second?
Absolutely.
When
Before
will
you guys
we
have your talk, I'm just gonna have Danny make the roll real quick.
Sure.
Because I don't want to forget about Danny's roll.
No, absolutely.
Danny roll. Control plus security.
All right, excellent. Would my tactical help? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. Okay. All right, let's see. What do I need?
Just one.
Oh. Oh.
Oh no.
20?
Oh no.
Thank you. That's so nice to get a
And
threat.
a 2. I saved the 0 off on the other one. So I got a success and a complication.
So good news. You find the information. The K3 deep space stations aren't really used for much these days. With the end of the Cold War with the Klingons, they're mainly used for supply. They're used to stopping off points between Klingon crews and Federation crews, and a lot of them are mainly used for storage these days. And you do find the listing with his picture next to it. The man you were speaking with outside is Commander Davenport. And you find his record. He has a decent record. Nothing like Kirk-worthy, but he's not like a screw-up. This is like a solid, command position. It's just not a very, decorated one. It's,
he's good enough to be put in charge of a storage facility like that. Okay.
It's a good for his career. It's just he's not like, it's not Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
This is the, the Muncie, Indiana to Chicago. I love you, Muncie. I was just there recently, but size-wise and...
So basically,
Rosrin does have a reroll from chat.
So basically,
I
he
do.
is a career Federation officer that doesn't take chances, plays it safe.
Yeah.
So should I take that and try to get rid of the complication?
I mean, you got the reroll.
Yep.
Do I reroll both or just the one?
You just reroll the threat if you want.
Oh, yes, I will take that as another success.
Okay.
So 2 successes.
You get no additional information.
Okay.
But I don't get that threat, which is a shame. So I'm gonna have fun with threat later. But no, that's all the information you could find. And then it has a rotating crew complement. This is a place where a lot of fresh trainees get sent to, and also people who are just serving time till they can retire. This isn't like, it's not a joke of an installation. It's a regular space station.
Yeah.
Which I know for us in the 21st century would be impressive, but in the 24th century, it's not bad, it's not great, just is.
And this space station is like backwater, or I mean, it's not like high importance. It's kind of out of the way.
It was the frontier maybe 100 years ago.
Okay.
But now it's been supplanted by more modern stations on the new edge of the frontier.
Okay, so not necessarily a backwater, but this is like a small town. This is like,
Yeah.
it's not really important, but it's there in case you need to stop by or store some. Got it. Okay.
Or if you need antimatter.
Or if we need antimatter.
All right, I believe you two are having a conversation.
Well, real quick,
Yes.
to make up for the threat that Danny didn't give you, chat gave you 2 more threat.
Love you, chat.
Yeah, that was Roxy and Allah, and all those nice things I said about you last night. Allah,
Of course it was.
no
Of
longer
course it
apply. You can punish them tomorrow, Danny.
Yeah. Make
They're
them
fighting
suffer
a
with the Kraken.
tomorrow, so
Yeah.
Make
they
them
better-
suffer.
I've got us at 4 momentum and 8 threat. Oh, so 5 momentum because Roxy also bought momentum, trying to smooth out the threat that she's giving. Commander, I don't think any of us should be going alone on this anywhere right now. I think were it me and this were my command, I would leave Roswin here with probably Dr. Haskins, and we make sure that nobody gets on the ship. But I don't think you going anywhere with anyone by yourself right now is a great idea.
You are more than welcome to come with me. Absolutely.
Okay. What is Starfleet protocol about me walking around with a phaser rifle?
I think you're about to find out.
Can I roll, like, I don't know, like... Man, I'm real bad at this. Like, insight command?
I'm not going to make you roll based off your rank. You would know that unless given specific orders, usually frowned upon to just walk around with a phaser rifle, even a phaser, unless the situation warrants it.
Good thing I have specific orders.
You'd have to bring that up with the commander.
This is gonna be fun.
We're at 6 momentum when you're capped now. Thanks to Allah, who's trying to smooth things over so the Kraken doesn't kill her.
I'm gonna go with let's you and I do phasers and hope they don't comment on them, and let the people on the runabout keep rifles on hand in case something goes south.
Okay, if that's... I'm getting a real bad feeling, and I feel like us getting caught without anything is a bad idea.
Well, phasers isn't quite not anything, so hopefully that works. We've walked into stupider situations with less.
And it is a Federation station, so you could get access to something bigger if something goes down.
Assuming it works.
Yes, assuming it works. So, yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with, I think.
Okay. Yeah, then I
Sounds
put
like a
my
plan.
phaser rifle back in its box.
Oh. I mean, you could stay on the ship and keep the phaser rifle.
No, I'd rather... Nope, I'm good. I'd rather Roswin be watching people.
All right. So, we'll come back out.
See, I'm kind of concerned. Davenro looking at you, and looks like he was just conferring with his assistant. Everything okay? I've got to let you know that I am incredibly worried right now, because strange ship showed up. It looks like you're armed, and you can't tell me anything.
That's the way the military life goes sometimes, sir.
Yeah, I'm aware. If you don't give me a solid explanation in the next 2 minutes, what's to keep me from ordering my tactical team down here?
Well, I believe that you were going to confirm what I could tell you of my story, which is that we're working for the Judge Adjutant General and need to get where we're going.
Which I'll need you to come with me to the bridge, and then we can
All right.
your command codes. And all right. As a precaution, I would like to put 2 security guards on the outside of the shuttle bay, just because to help you out, but in case we need to act on something. You seem trustworthy. You appreciate the situation, right?
Sir, if I could make a request.
Go ahead.
Perhaps 2 security officers with the least amount of interaction with the Orion Syndicate.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I think you heard what I said, sir, and I feel that I'm already going to get reprimanded when we get back on the ship for saying anything. However, that is my concern.
He looks at his assistant.
Like I said, we really want to be gone before anything happens here, because we don't want anything to happen here. I promise you, that is our main concern.
He looks at his assistant, who is also a human, and just kind of gives her a nod, and she kind of turns and walks away a few feet and pretends to busy herself with her pad, and then he steps closer to all of you. Is my station at risk of reprisal from the Syndicate?
I wouldn't use the word reprisal. I would use the word assault.
I think if there's any risk, it is going to be of them trying to catch us while we are here. Thus, if we are not here, you should be fine.
I'm going to give you enough fuel for you to make it to another station. I'm also going to have you come to the bridge, and we will try to reach Starfleet to confirm your story. We're going to keep many wheels in motion.
Absolutely.
And also, but I'm also going to lock down this hangar because we are not equipped to... We're equipped to defend ourselves, but in my experience, the Syndicate doesn't do a straight-on attack.
Yes, that is also our concern.
Very well. Can I know this is probably me asking too much, but can you at least tell me what is on board that the Syndicate is after?
People?
Okay. His eyes get kind of wide, and he's like, okay, that makes sense. I'm not going to ask more questions. Okay, so whichever one of you wants to accompany me to our bridge, we will begin this process, and I will notify engineering that you are a courier shuttle that has been given some of our remaining fuel.
We are both going to come with you, if that is all right.
That is all right.
Kennedy, chat has bought an NPC named Martin Cruikshaw.
I love it.
You can do whatever you want with, according to this note here.
So Martin Cruikshaw?
Cruikshaw. Cruikshaw. Or Cruikshaw.
Martin
Sounds
Cruikshaw.
familiar from last night.
All right, I think I've got an idea what I want to use this character for. All right, so I assume the bridge team essentially is going on with the commander.
Yep.
That means that. God, why am I blanking on your character's name, Danny?
Irex.
That's right. Irex and
Yes.
he are going to be remaining on the ship.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Okay. It's at that point that you notice that it appears like somebody is knocking on the force field in the brig in the ship. Do you go to investigate?
Of course.
It is Jacobson.
What are they doing?
He is knocking.
Mm-hmm. Do you need something?
Yeah, what's going on? I was told that this would be a short flight and that we weren't stopping anywhere.
Well, we did have a minor emergency that we needed to take care of.
What's the emergency?
We ran out of
Well-
Raccoon Gino in the replicator.
Raditz looks for.
You know, you really don't have to lie. I mean, we're all in this together, and I think if it's what I think it is, they're going to be trying to kill me. So, I can help in some way? Just...
I think the commander has it all under control for now. We are,
know,
of course, keeping an eye on things.
You know, I'm very
We
trustworthy.
are well aware of the danger you are in. And I don't believe that.
I'm trustworthy, unlike this Cardassian in here, which frankly I don't understand why we're in the same cell. And at that point, Davros literally like slugs him on the shoulder. It's like, what is wrong with you? You've been on me since we got on board this shuttle. I don't understand why you're being a jerk. And then the two devolve into arguing amongst themselves. And it's starting to get heated.
I can sedate him.
Why do I feel like this is a diversion tactic? I'm not gonna go in there and stop them if they're just arguing.
I mean, we
Like,
could sedate them if they're
mean-
going to be that noisy.
Yeah, well, they're not doing anything right now. I mean, if they're yelling at each other, they're not doing anything else, you know? I mean, so let them argue. I mean, Rodman would just let them. He'd just be there at the ready. Let them argue if they want to, because that means he doesn't have to answer any questions if they're preoccupied with arguing with each other. So he'll just let them. It's like, oh, good. They forgot about that for a second, and he'll just keep an eye out. And he'll tell Haskins to, you know, keep an eye like in the hallway and stuff. He'll keep an eye in the room if he wants to step, because he's afraid that they're trying to distract from somebody, perhaps
Yeah. No,
trying to do something. So
we're going to keep our eyes peeled.
yeah.
You do get a little beep from the console, and you see a small team of Federation engineers who are coming up with a large hose, and looks like they're coupling it to the essentially they're putting fuel in the ship. They haven't quite activated it yet, so the antimatter is not being transported or moved into it. It looks like they're just trying to get the process ready.
Okay.
You do notice that there seems to be a weird little blip on the console. Do you investigate it?
Of course. Haskins might be a little. I think your computer stuff is better than mine.
It might be.
What type of role would this be?
You are looking at reason plus science, and the difficulty is going to be 3.
That would definitely be a Haskins thing then.
I mean, it's 14, so, and I'll buy a dice.
That's pretty good.
Buy a dice.
Yeah.
With momentum, I assume.
Check it out.
I rolled a 1.
Ooh.
And
I
2
rolled 14. I rolled 3 successes.
All right.
And
So
is our threat at 20 still, or is it 19?
19, I believe.
Oh, is it 19? So I rolled a 19 as well.
Okay. Good to know. What is our current threat at?
8.
Nice. My little crude threatmometer here.
Threat
So
model.
yeah, a critical, a 19, and then a 12. So that's 3 successes, and then the complication I should do.
You notice that there's a strange energy signature that seems to be just appearing and disappearing inside the shuttle bay. It's not anything that you would deem to be like explosive. It's definitely not antimatter. But there appears to be just a strange signature that almost seems to be like focusing on the hull of the ship. But you can't quite nail down what it is, only that it's a weird aura. It seems to just kind of like paint the side of the ship. Meanwhile, as you are investigating this strange energy signature on the bridge. So, going through the hallways of this space station, they look exactly like they've been taken out of an episode of the original series. So, bright colors, a lot of mesh walls, and you see people walking around in like, you know, bright clothing. The one thing that you notice is that there are a lot of like cargo containers throughout the hallways. It is clear that this station's used for storage, and they don't exactly entertain like the royalty. So while they keep it neat, it's not like, hey, we've got to move these, you know, cylinders out of the way, because who's going to care? You kind of get the feeling that there's like a small complement to the station. You see a lot of people, but you know this station at its height could possibly have like 1,000 people on it. But judging by the closed stores you pass and the mostly empty hallways, you probably guess there's maybe 100 or 200 people on this station.
So it's Washington Square Mall.
Oh, I think it's a little better off than Washington Square Mall. I love it. Like, that place, I would have loved to see it in its heyday, but... Oof.
It was a great mall. For our non-Indiana
Sorry,
watchers,
yeah, I realized once I said it.
it's a mall that used to be really, really grand near here and has mostly died off. But for our Hoosiers who are watching us, that's pretty accurate, where it's large and you can tell that there were like, there's a lot of furniture that it's like, oh, this is where a family could sit and enjoy like a Sunday picnic, but it's clear that it's being used for like stacking crates of self-sealing stim bolts.
Yeah.
You get to the bridge.
Yeah, those are a thing. Those are a thing. That is canon.
With Nog and Jake's face on the side of the box.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
That was a good episode.
As you get up to the bridge of the station, which is at the very top of the central pillar, it's been upgraded with modern Starfleet technology. It's still a little cramped, and there's like one central ring in the middle where the commander would sit, and he's got a couple consoles. But around the bridge are just numerous computer arrays and displays, all of them focused on the maintaining of the station, with a big security tactical display that shows nothing in the immediate area. You see an engineer nearby. It looks like he's just gotten back from repairing a conduit. And as soon as you get on the bridge, Commander Davenport goes, crap, what was Chief Cruikshaw, give us a quick report. Well, Commander, I've managed to figure out what that mysterious noise was, but other than that, really nothing. It was just a bunch of interstellar debris that had just impacted on the hull, but station's fine. Just did some maintenance.
Chief, could I take a look at those readings?
You question my work?
No. It's stellar phenomenon are a study of mine, and I'm very interested in what would cause something like that to happen. Maybe I can get a little bit of information there, if you don't mind.
Very well. And he hands over a pad.
Can I parse through it and see how badly he read this?
Yes, you can.
Because I'm positive he either badly read it or is lying. And is this a chief, like, is he an old guy or is he a very young guy?
He's middle-aged.
Okay, so he's near retirement.
Ouch.
You said there are either new cadets or near retirement. Those are the two people that end up on the ship that or the station. That's why I'm asking that way.
I get it. Yeah. Middle-aged, and go ahead and give me reason plus science or engineering.
Okay. What's the difficulty? 2. It's so astronaut navigation. Never mind. I'm gonna give you threat to buy a die when you and roll on engineering.
You're at 9.
Oh my. So I'm gonna re-roll one of these dice. Okay.
Get rid of your crit. Give me more threat. I agree.
No. I had 2 complications, which I re-rolled one of. So I have 2 successes. I still have a complication, so I'm gonna have to use my Born Near Warp Core, which means I ignore a complication.
Good. Get those abilities out of the way early.
Right. I got my 2.
From what you can tell, it looks like some of the debris in question. It looks like it was made of just what could be considered like hull components, but it could also just be old astrometric debris. It looks like it's atmospheric debris that impacted on the hull. But you do recognize that there are similar hull materials to what is used in interstellar travel. So it doesn't confirm, but it doesn't deny or dismiss your theory.
Any of it large enough to carry atmosphere and people?
It looks like it was actually, that's a pretty good question. It looks like it was the size of a Federation probe.
So big, more than big enough. Chief, where did this impact at?
Impacted near one of our deflectors on subsection B.
Any chance we could pull that up on screens?
He looks at the commander, and the commander just nods his head, and the chief pulls it up on the big display, and you see they've got security cameras on the outside of the stations, and you see just where there was like a slight impact around that section of the station, and you see a couple of just loose particles of debris floating around.
I'm gonna tap the screen and say enhance. I want to check the station hull to make sure it hasn't been. I want to make sure nobody got in physically. We'll worry about transporter logs here or transporters here in a second.
We detected no organic debris. It was just a mixture of dense material that hit us, and looks to be just some methane that was trapped inside the debris.
Methane. Do I know? You know what? I don't know. I'm gonna hit my comm. Dr. Haskins.
Haskins here.
Are there any species that use methane as a primary breathing atmosphere?
You're gonna have to narrow that down a lot more because there are
Sentient
several
species that would work with the people we're concerned about.
Again, you're gonna have to narrow that down because the people that we're talking about can get their hooks into literally anyone. Can I roll for, because I don't have personal knowledge above the table.
You can name a dozen species off the top of your head that breathe methane.
And they would work with the Orions.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But Commander, while I have you on, we are picking up something strange. We're getting an oscillating frequency that seems like it's painting the side of the runabout. It's like pinging it.
I'm going to look over at the chief. Are you getting this on your sensors?
He sits down and starts to bring up his display. It shows to shuttle bay, and then he starts to just activate the space station sensors. He goes, now that you mention it, it was so low in frequency we almost didn't detect it. But now that we know what to look for, I don't understand what's going on. But there is some sort of intermittent frequency that seems to be just pulsating inside the shuttle bay.
Can we use the two sensor readouts to triangulate the position of where it's coming from?
You start to do that to determine where it's coming from. Davino starts to look concerned, and he points at the screen and says, should we get my technicians out of there? I don't necessarily enjoy them being inside the shuttle bay. It's at that point that it seems like the screen starts to fade a little bit, and then a bright light fills the shuttle bay, and then you see what appears to be just this, it almost looks like it's snowing inside the shuttle bay. It just small little white crystals just falling from the roof.
That's something we've seen before.
Not quite, but it is weird to see snow inside of a space station.
Well, yes.
Outside of the holodeck.
Do the sensors read it as snow? Is it mostly liquid water or frozen water?
Chief Cruikshaw starts working to the console furiously, and he starts to look incredibly frustrated. Like, I don't understand it. For some reason, the computer is taking triple the time it should to get me any of the readings. I'm not sure what's going on.
Well,
the commander looks really upset. It's like, that's it. We've got to get my crewmen out of there. I'm not letting them stay inside of whatever that is. But it's almost just a second too late. Inside the runabout, you've just been watching them, refuel the ship, keeping an eye on things. When you start to hear a really frantic slamming on the door into the runabout, do you look out the view screen?
Well, yes, for sure.
You
Haskins and I are like, who is that?
It is the two technicians, and one of them is screaming, "Let me in, let me in." There's a whitish glow around them.
Okay, look, I saw Alien. So, quarantine procedures are a thing. And that's what messed the Nostromo up. So I would like to not fall into that thing. So Rosalind's gonna look at Haskins and be like, "Look."
No, we're not letting them in. Can we?
Yeah, he's like, I don't want, but
Can I try and perform an emergency transport to their sick bay?
That's a pretty good idea. Yes. Roll for me. Control plus con, because you're trying to do this in a hurry, but you're not like breaking through any security systems, and
Okay.
you don't really need any science or engineering for this. You just really need to make the ship do what it can.
Right.
Can the ship assist?
The ship's not exactly flying, but I'd say it could. Yeah, go ahead.
Could I use any of my values for an extra dice, like driven to ease suffering? Because I'm really trying to save them.
I'd say you could use that one.
So I'm going to take another dice. Does that give you threat? I can't remember that.
No.
You're
Okay.
using a value?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're using a value. You spend determination to get 2 successes. That's how values work.
Okay, then I'll do that. I'll I'm gonna use my value driven to ease suffering to get a success.
2 successes.
2 successes.
And then this one for the ship would be computers con?
Yeah.
So it's 3 successes for me.
1 from the ship.
Okay, so you managed to activate it in time, and they're screaming and on their knees, but you managed to transport them out. Since none of you are in the station's medical bay, you don't know what happened to them next. But for the 2 inside the runabout, you start to see the snow start to kind of float ominously outside the viewports of the ship, and then it starts to kind of cling to the side. And it's at that point you start to get warnings that something is trying to cut into the hull.
Yeah, okay, so we're Commander, and he's gonna quickly explain to Halada like what is happening. Like this stuff is trying to cut through the runabout.
Emergency takeoff?
Did they get any antimatter into the ship?
Did we get
No.
any at all?
They were preparing the process. They were trying to confirm the orders, but it happened too fast. It's still hooked up to the hose for the antimatter, but none has gone into the engines. But you do know that the antimatter is only really needed to activate the warp field.
Right.
The ship has impulse engines.
Right, we could
We can still
impulse.
move.
Get them out and vacuum and see if we can. Yeah.
All right.
But the hose is
Okay. Haskins.
I guess we're breaking a hose.
we're sorry. Yeah, so Haskins and Rosrin, since it's only the 4 of us now, I think it's us 2 and the 2 prisoners
Yep.
on the thing now. So yeah, Rosrin's gonna be like, well, Haskins, I guess we gotta work on our piloting skills
It's been
out
a
of
while.
here.
Commander, can you ask the station commander to open up the bay doors? We need to try to
Yep.
get out of here.
I relay that to the people standing next to me.
If he says, I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that, I'm going to shoot him.
No, it's at this point that Davenro's kind of like taking charge of the situation, and he orders that the force field on the shuttle bay is lowered so that the ship can go out. The ship is snagged on the hose though.
Even modern gas stations have breakaway hoses, so I would hope that this would be a breakaway hose.
We're just hanging it out when we get in space. It's just like trailing behind.
It does break away. The thing is, this isn't a gasoline hose though. It's meant to transport antimatter safely.
Yeah.
But you do rip it out of its little nest, and the moment you cross the threshold of the of into space, the snow floats away and goes back inside the station.
That's not
and
great.
It immediately evaporates.
And it doesn't, like, hard freeze either, right?
Nope.
And the alerts that we were getting about something trying to get into the ship, that's turned off now?
Yeah, it stopped.
Okay.
Did it do any damage?
Not really.
That's what I was going to check. Yes.
It did scorch the hull, but the ship's not considered damaged yet. Cosmetically, it's damaged, if that helps.
Okay. All right.
Commander
That's fine.
Halada, that worked. Getting out of the hangar, it stopped the whatever it was from trying to get inside the ship. We did rip the hose out, though.
Yeah, that was likely to happen, unfortunately.
Chief Berkshaw is just staring in disbelief, going, "That was a sophisticated piece of equipment. That was our only functional antimatter transfer unit, and it's damaged."
Awesome. So now we get to try to help
Put
fix
it
it.
on our tab, for Pete's sake!
Well,
Put
we
it
have
on
to,
our tab!
Rosrin, we have to help fix it, or we can't get antimatter.
Commander, I wouldn't send anybody down to that shuttle bay yet. Whatever was in there was attacking the engineering crew. By the way, can you contact their medical bay? We transported them directly to the sick bay because whatever was happening, I couldn't get a good read on it, but it looked horrible.
Yeah, now I want to look at sensors too to make sure nobody's coming up on us. I mean, because who knows? That could have been their ploy, you know, like push us out without anybody around at this little supply station that couldn't really help us. So he's definitely looking to make sure nobody's like streaking in from somewhere to like join the party.
Davenro actually pages the med bay, and the medical officer, whose name is Zarl Gurn, responds with, "We received the 2 technicians. They're very badly burned. If you would like to come down here, I think you need to see this in person."
I mean,
Commander,
yeah.
We are likely about to be in a combat situation. I don't know that you and being in the med bay is going to be helpful. I'm concerned about your computer systems. If you wouldn't mind me taking a look.
These computer systems have a pretty high security rating, and with all due respect, I don't know who you are. I understand you have sealed Starfleet orders. I understand that we were going to try to check with Starfleet to make sure that your orders are accurate. But so far, I have 2 badly hurt technicians, and I'm this close to locking the whole station down. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and give that order. He looks over to one of his bridge officers who hits a couple buttons, and yellow alert goes off. It's at that point that you see a lot of crewmen start to go to positions. It's not like a red alert where everybody's like, ready to pick a fight with people, but the station is slowly starting to seal itself up.
We're just out in space watching that, like, well.
Okay.
Lieutenant, you are on the sensor sweeps. There's nothing incoming?
Is there? Did I get anything off of that? Can I get anything off of that?
It's actually at that point that you do detect a ship that is still a ways out, but there is a ship making its way towards K3. It's going at
I hate being right!
It looks like it's going to arrive in about an hour.
Yeah, so quickly relay that information. Can I tell what kind of ship it is or anything about it first?
Yes, it is a Miradorn transport vessel, which is not necessarily too out of the ordinary, but it does look like it's on its way there.
And you said it's going to get there in about an hour, so it's not coming in like hot and fast, like it's trying to get there as fast as it can, or is it just that far out?
No, it's coming at about warp 6, which not super fast, not super slow.
Right.
An old sci-fi reference that your character might be familiar with is fly casually.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, so Roslin's gonna be like, yeah, relay that information to the commander and talks, and say there's a ship coming in, but it all seems a little too coincidental for my taste.
Well, and they did say there was nobody scheduled to come in for another week, so there's that too.
Davenro looks at a pad and says, "That may be the ship that's supplying us with antimatter. We can't rule that out."
Is it normally in a whatever class?
We have been using the Miradorn have been trading with us, and I believe they're slated to bring us antimatter from one of their nearby facilities. They've been to the station before, but I am going to say, with certain people involved, who knows?
Yeah, and they are, it sounds like early. So at least, can we approach it with some level of suspicion?
I'm approaching everything with suspicion at this rate.
Good. That's a good thing to be doing right now. Even if you don't want tox in your systems, which I understand you don't have a lot of reason to trust us right now, your engineer did say they were running much slower than normal. Can you do some sort of maintenance on them?
It's not that the chief kind of like pipes up and goes, what do you think I've been doing? I am doing a level 4 diagnostic of all the computer cores.
Excellent.
I'm not certain what is affecting our system. I'm going to figure it out, though.
Hey, Commander, if I know you don't want me in your systems, but if your chief could look for this kind of coding, and I like pull it up on my tricorder and show the chief, that's the kind of like whatever we found in the other in the shuttle in the roundabout, that coding, that type of coding, I want him to look for that specifically.
Wait, what is this?
I'm not at liberty to say, Chief. I wish I could. I know it would make your job a lot easier.
Yeah.
But without being able to get into it myself, this is the best I can offer.
Commander?
I
This is
can
that point
give.
that Davenor looks defeated. It's like, just go ahead. Just do as he asks.
We're
meanwhile-
really sorry if that helps. We're really apologetic.
Meanwhile, on the runabout,
Start taking
Ben is kind of just wandering around looking really nervous, and he's kind of holding on to his little phaser rifle.
We gave him a phaser rifle?
Hey, he was clear of all charges. How dare you?
I'm not. No, it's more the civilian.
He's a civilian.
Yeah, we'd been on there too. All right. Yeah. All right. Well.
What are we doing?
We're holding tight for right now. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I think our best bet is to try to move the shuttle to some not easily accessible or shot place. So we're not just out here. You know, maybe we can tuck under somewhere on the station or something like that. So
Far side of the
we're not
station.
seen somewhere, like on the other side, or just maintain distance, or
Find a lead to hide in.
Yeah, if we get
Yeah,
on the other side of the station and tuck up underneath one of those cargo bays, the shielding in the station might hide us a little bit if we turn off impulse engines and reduce our energy output just for life support.
I'm for that, and I will relay to the commander what we're thinking of doing.
Proceed, and unless the commander of the station has something else that they would like us to do.
Is it possible that the Archer class ship would be more secure?
It would be. It's just, it's a little underpowered, and it also doesn't have a working warp core.
I'm less worried about a warp core and more worried about a shooty. I assume it's better off than a runabout at firing at things.
It would.
Right,
yeah,
which is why Rostron's like, let's get it, because I don't want to have to in a runabout. I don't want to face anything in a runabout.
It's at that point that Vin walks up to you two and goes, "Hey, there's something wrong with the pad. I think this is addressed to you two." And he hands over the pad. And it looks like it leaves off the last paragraph of his novel, which looks like it was getting really exciting. Seems to have stopped, and then a couple spaces down, there was a new message that was inputted that says, "Kill the informant, and you can live."
Looks over at Haskins.
And I'm really,
Yeah.
Is this your personal pad?
Yeah.
And you've had it with you this entire time? It's never left your person?
It looks like it updated itself. I didn't write that, I swear.
You need to let the commander know about this.
Yeah. I mean, Commander, now we've received some threats via Vin's pad. It says, kill the informant, and you can live.
And was it addressed to myself and Rosman?
Nope, just said.
Just a
kill the
general
informant
message.
and you
Okay.
can live.
Yeah, but Ben was just like, I think this is for you.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, Roger will relay the message, so...
So obviously we aren't doing that.
Commander, actually, could we do that?
No.
Could we present something that looks like a body to show a dead informant?
If you can figure out a way that would actually work, feel free to go forward with that. But with how ingrained into these systems they seem to be, I don't see how we could do that and have them actually be fooled.
I mean, at this point, if they're monitoring our communications, they already know that that's what we're trying to do, and they could detect anything that I could give the informant, which he would appear dead unless they got unless they really scrutinized the body and wanted the body. But
So yeah, I'm gonna tell the commander what the intention is for the runabout, unless they approve us going to the battleship, almost decommissioned as it may be. And yeah, I'm not quite all cards on the table, but I'm trying to give him as much information as I possibly can.
Commander Davenro gives you permission to go aboard the ship, which is just called the didn't come up with a name for it. We'll just call it the Valiant. And it's more of like an old patrol ship. It's a single nacelle Federation cruiser. And he gives you permission to go aboard, although he says be careful. We don't know what we're dealing with.
Well, yes. Absolutely.
we're not getting off the shuttle, right?
It's just, yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys are going to stay on the shuttle in the ship, but that's ultimately, you need to be adaptable if things happen, and I can't respond. So, your call?
Well, if it comes down to piloting the ship into combat, I think we're going to be a little short-handed.
Yes. But, yeah, I'll let you guys know you have permission to board the Valiant.
It's at that point that you hear back from the medical officer. Commander, unfortunately, one of the technicians has passed away. The burns were simply too severe. And I really think you should get down here. So the commander looks at you two. And is like, I think you should join me.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you go into the medical bay, which is not far from the bridge, you see, you arrive just in time for the doctor to be pulling a blanket over the one technician that has died, and the other one is underneath the surgical field and is writhing in agony. And he has several burn marks, just like pock marks, all over his body.
Are they like fire burns or are they acid burns?
It's actually funny that you mentioned that. The skin looks very ashy around where the burn marks took place. But it doesn't look like it was like phaser fire or just fire in general, and it doesn't quite look like it was acidic. But the medical officer, Zarl Gurn, looks at the three of you and says, "I'm not certain what happened. It looks like his cells are being destroyed, like they've been stripped of all nutrients, in a very focused pattern, and that's what's caused the burns over his body. It's incredibly painful, and it just looks like something leached out all neurological energy, all nutrients. It's like his skin was scoured, and I'm at a loss." What are you two doing?
So to confirm, we've not seen something like this before.
Were either of you in one of the last sessions I ran on the planet with the, not to give a spoiler away, but the Cardassian base that you encountered in the Gamma Quadrant?
I wasn't.
I'm pretty sure I was, but I have a bad memory. That's why I'm asking.
I think you were. I think it was me, you, Rob, and Anbara.
That sounds.
I think that was the 4 of us.
It sounds familiar, is what I am going to say.
Either way, as a commander,
Yeah.
I think you would have reviewed also the logs.
Yes.
So it does sound a little familiar to you. Go ahead and roll your insight plus command.
Insight plus command. What's my difficulty?
Difficulty is going to be of 1. Matt, you can join in.
Sweet. Oh, hey, look at that! I crit.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
you're talking about the one where Rob and I like chased that guy up the mountainside, and the planet was gonna.
Oh yeah,
fall apart.
I was there for that one.
Yeah.
I did not succeed though.
That's okay. I got 2.
Matt, you realize that the type of damage that's being described sounds like a very, very miniaturized version of what the crystalline entity does to planets.
Doc, can you, on a microscopic level, scan for whatever the compound for the... I'm sure I'm familiar enough with the crystalline entity, given that we've sort of encountered one, twice now, that I would know what to have him scan for.
Yeah, it has a certain particle variance that it kind of stands out.
Yeah, so not Dr. Haskins, the doctor in the medical bay. Can you scan for that?
He scans it and it tests positive. Although there are some variations to it. It's not exactly like the old readings that you've taken, but it is extremely similar.
Do I know how to defeat that?
There are a couple ways, because crystalline entities have been encountered a couple of times. So you do have an idea of what could be used to defeat it. You understand that the Enterprise D destroyed one with a sonic frequency.
Commanders. What I believe is going on is there are some sort of miniature crystalline entities using their energy sapping attacks on the body. If I remember debriefings correctly, the Enterprise D, when they encountered something similar in a much larger scale, they used a sonic attack to disrupt it, but without any access to any computers, I can't be sure how that worked or how to make sure it happens here safely for the victim.
It is at that moment that everybody's communicator goes live, even on the runabout. And a very unfamiliar and clearly distorted voice comes through. It seems that you are not great at taking advice. So we are going to make one final request. Kill the informant, and we will let all of you live. If you continue to not follow instructions, I'm afraid that we are going to have to take steps. And no one wants that.
Take steps.
This is just a business transaction. You don't even have to kill them. Just get your crewmen off the runabout, and nature will take its course.
People's lives aren't business transactions.
All people's lives are business transactions.
We have a fundamental disagreement on how this works.
Can we tell where the transmission's coming from?
No, it's blanketing the main communication channel.
They need a better
Yeah.
engineer.
Very well. If you won't see reason, I think we're just going to have to present our case, and I love a good debate. So you would like them to live, and we would like them not to live, and supporting our case is going to be this. And it's at that point that sensors start going off, and you hear the red alert symbol or red alert sign goes off, and Commander Davenrow pulls out his pad, and strange energy vibrations are going all throughout the hull of the space station. And from space, you see what appears to be a very small tendril of light combing its way around the outside of the station, kind of like an inchworm almost, the way it just kind of goes. Not very long, but disconcerting because it's about 12 feet long, and it looks to be highly focused snowflakes. And at one point, they managed to find an access point, and they start to go into the hull of the space station. And one last time before the channel goes dead, you hear about 30 minutes, and then we'll have to make things pretty final on our end. And it's just business. Just business. And I think that's where we're going to have our break. To everybody who's been watching so far, thank you for watching. I appreciate all the threat, because that threat's about to come into great use for the next half of our show. And everybody who's giving our players rerolls, they might need it coming up. Anyways, we will be back in 10 minutes, so hope to see you soon. Hello, everybody. Glad you could join us again. Where we last left off with our intrepid adventurers, it was all going super great. The mission was going wonderful. I think they got it accomplished in record time. Commendations for everyone.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah!
At least that's what I kind of want to say, but unfortunately, that's not what's going to happen. But I want to thank all you for watching us, and just as a reminder that you can use those points at the bottom of your Twitch stream page to buy all kind of cool things. You can buy rerolls, you can buy characters like the chief of this station, who may or may not, end up in future episodes. They will, don't worry. You can help out our adventurers, our crewmen, who kind of in a bit of a pickle. So, where we left off, a mysterious voice. Oh, go ahead.
Real quick. So tomorrow is by Leaps and Bounties. Danny runs that with John and Roxy, who are scampering behind the scenes tonight. Also, Alla is on that, and so is Michael. They're fighting a Kraken, so come out for some Kraken good fun tomorrow night.
No.
You're welcome. And then we will be back next week with our final episode. I don't have a name on that. Rob is running that one, and it is kind of a rework from something he was doing earlier, so I need to get information on that. I know we have a good crew. That'll be a good night. So definitely do that. Come out then, and then we will be back with the Illuminated page on the 18th for more fun in... hopefully we'll eventually get out of Switzerland, for God's sake.
Like the same day
we've spent a lot of time in Switzerland. It's not bad, but
honestly, we haven't spent that much time. It's only been one day.
It's only been 2 episodes. No. So yeah, definitely come out for Illuminate page on the 18th again, and then Leaps and Bounties. I think this is episode 7 tomorrow. Is that correct, Danny?
It is the midpoint. Yes, chapter 7, the Kraken. It is the midpoint of the season.
Fantastic. So yeah, we've got all that coming up, and then on the 13th for my personal individual channel, we will be releasing our trailer for our new show Gilded Griffin, where we will be following the story of the fall of Akatoria. So keep an eye on that for announcements on that on my Twitter, which is Quiet Gentleman, @Quiet Gentleman. There's 2 T's in quiet, if you can't tell. So, now I'm done with announcements. Now you can keep doing what you were doing. Sorry.
You're fighting a Kraken? Man, I heard that's just for suckers.
Oh.
And on that
Really?
delightful note...
Look, I'd rather deal with the Orion Syndicate right now than hear more. So let's be in danger.
You are in the wrong group if you don't want punny.
So the communication blackout lifts. And it's at that point that the bridge is overwhelmed with a lot of transmissions from all across the station, because as you quickly realize, as you're coming back from medical to the bridge, everyone got that communication. Everyone on the station. It went live over the general communication channel. Families in their quarters overheard that.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Great. Just wonderful.
Davenro is doing his best to try to keep charge of the situation, but he looks over at you two and says, "In my office now."
Yep.
It's a smaller office than what Cisco had on Deep Space Nine. I know that one was designed for like Cardassian gulls, but this one is a very small. It was designed in an era when space was at a premium. But he kind of gets behind his desk and he sits down, and his eyes are like daggers looking at both of you. I'm going to invoke my privilege right now. You are going to tell me what your mission was now.
I do so.
Like you divulge everything.
Not. I'm gonna tell him like, mission was get informant from point A to point B with no stops. Sabotage had to stop.
So it was informant. Who's the informant?
I don't see how giving you that information is helpful to you. It just puts you in yet more danger.
See, we're already in a lot of danger. And
Yes. There's
don't-
still tiers to it.
Cool. So assume just for the moment that I'm the commander of a space station, and that I'm giving you a direct order to tell me why we're in danger.
I believe I've done so.
Very well. I'll note this in my log. So, what do we do next? Because it's very clear that they are trying to they will kill all of us, I assume. Even though I have no idea what it is that... It's some kind of tiny crystalline entity?
That seems to be what is impacting your crewmen. And if the structure outside is the same, then yes. So if we can find the frequency that was used, we should be able to use that same frequency to do a sonic attack and get rid of it.
Can we use phasers?
Tox?
Tox, you would know that. No.
I don't believe that we can. It's just a matter of figuring out what we can do. Since we have divulged our information, I do hope that you'll consider giving us access to your machines so that we can work on this.
It would appear that we're all in the same boat. So for now, we're going to continue to be working together. But I'm not certain how I can keep order on this station, but it appears that everybody is panicking. We have families here, and also, I assume that the runabout that's outside the station, that's where the informant is.
Yes.
I just love how...
There's two places. There's two places they could be. They could be in this room, which it's not one of the two of us. I can tell you that for sure. So, yes, they're on the runabout.
Then, for now, you have my permission to access our equipment and to find a cure for this. But if we can't combat this thing with phasers, I'm not certain what else we can do. And we've currently only got the one ship which we could possibly use, and we have a couple of shuttles.
I would suggest getting anyone, if you can get the family members onto shuttles. If I don't know how much family you have here, but if you can get them off of the station, we'll put them farther away from harm.
Sounds like a solid plan. All right, let's execute it. Meanwhile, on board the runabout, there's a familiar knocking on your brig.
Again?
You're allowed to shoot him. I'm pretty sure it's in Starfleet protocol that you're allowed to just shoot him.
Danny, you're muted.
Is it honestly like? Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, well, I mean, he knows now, because if we heard that and everybody else heard that, then I'm sure those in the brig heard that as well. So, yeah, Roger will go in there, and he's gonna tell Haskins, like, well, I guess I better go and deal with our guests for a second.
So I'm gonna position myself so I can see down the hallway to where Roswell's talking to the informants, but I can also kind of keep an eye on the consoles for any urgent lights.
Yeah.
When you go check on it, you see that the two prisoners are just still shouting, and Jacobson it's just slamming on the force field. Yeah. Excuse me. We want out of here.
Well, I want a taco, but you don't hear me complain.
Look, my life's in danger, like in more danger than it was yesterday, and you can't keep us in here, especially if the Orions are going to come kill us. Are you literally shaking your head? Sean's just like, no, we can't.
Yeah, Roswin's like, well, I would love to know two things. One, if I did let you out, where would you go?
Precisely. Where would I go?
That's not how that argument works.
That's not how that works, exactly. Because in there, I know you're not attempting to do something. If you're out here, there are all sorts of ways you can mess with things, which would not help us or you in the situation that we are trying to figure out right now.
It's at that point that Davros, just kind of like, who's been leaning against the back of the room, goes, I can actually offer you a lot of help right now. I saw the schematics for our communication device for the crystalline entity. I can't promise anything, but I could try to help with luring it away.
He glances over at Haskins.
We drop the force field, we're going to have our hands full because I don't think Jacobs, right, is the one that's pounding on the force field.
Yes, Jacobson. He was the one that you fought before.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to sit by while we let Davros out to possibly help us, but at the same time, it's not a decision I'm willing to call. I think we should let Commander Halata and Tox know that we might have a possible solution for the entity, but it requires letting one of the people out.
Yeah. So Rosalind will, Commander Halata, one of the prisoners has offered, because they've seen the schematics of the communications between the crystalline entity that they have been using, would like and has offered to assist. The other is demanding to be let out as well.
Alex, how much or little do you trust
Jacobson?
Yeah, with the
Put
systems.
Put a solid stun shot into him. I trust him quite a bit.
With access to their systems.
Oh no, I wouldn't let him access anything more than the replicator. And even that, I'd like to keep an eye on that.
Yeah. And Rosalind will specify it was Jake. It was the other one that was saying they could help.
Davros.
Davros.
Jacobson was just demanding to be let out.
I wouldn't trust Davros any farther than Jacobson, but if he knows something that could help, then...
Is it a risk you are willing to take?
If I were on board the runabout, yes.
But without being there to supervise?
I'm concerned that our doctor and our chief of security are not equipped to handle high-level engineering and science issues. Well, maybe the doctor with science, but not the engineering part.
I got a secret up my sleeve for engineering, so...
Light it on fire and hope for the best?
Bang it.
You know, it's one of my talents. I'm a doctor, not where I can use that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Ultimately, I know this is a decision I have to make, but what is your risk assessment?
If I could, I would say that it might be worth the risk under strict supervision to let one of them out to be helpful. I would not trust the other one. They haven't knows that they have anything to offer other than being wanted to be left to run around the runabout.
I'm concerned about Jacobson's interactions with my brother, but if that can be mitigated, I think that there's not anywhere they can go. Even if they can get off the ship, we should be able to track them well enough.
I could also flood their compartment with something that will knock out Jacobson, but wouldn't affect the Cardassian.
Probably.
Okay, so accept his help. Try to keep an eye on it as much as you can.
All right, so I guess we're gonna attempt to get the one out without bringing Jacobson out.
I'm gonna flood it with something that is purely for Jacobson is human, correct?
Human.
Yeah.
I'm gonna flood it with something that won't affect Cardassia, which I'm sure I can replicate something real quick.
Oh, hey! I'm on your side. You don't have to knock me out.
We're going to knock you out. I remember what you did last time.
Your side. But you find a compound that I'm not gonna make you roll that would knock him out, and he just slowly starts to fade and just goes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's quiet finally.
Yeah, we'll let the other one out and keep a close eye. And now, how are you proposing that you can help?
I just want to say your methods are particularly ruthless, and just gotta say a lot of respect.
That's the last thing you want from a Cardassian.
I keep getting this and I keep hating it.
I'm going to go full Klingon and be like, and look at him as hard as I can. You know, that Klingon glower. Listen, if you're trying to sabotage, if you're trying to save your own skin, and you leave everybody on that station to rot, I will hunt you down. And I will do things to you that even your government couldn't imagine to do.
Well, after that Starfleet pep talk, I'm ready to get to work. If I could get access to the deflector dish.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take him to where and keep an eye.
So it's going to take me a little bit, and I'm not sure it's going to work. So I'm just letting you know before Klingon rips my head off. This could fail.
Hope that it doesn't.
But yeah, I hope it doesn't. I don't want to die. By the way, did you... The gas you released in there, it's already starting to wear off on Jacobson, who comes around, and he's like, hey... you see Davros...
I left a snack in there for you. Shh.
Davros starts to get to work, and he tries to explain everything along the way, but it's very technical. It sounds right, even though you said science wasn't necessarily your strong point, but it sounds right. But he's trying to make do with what he can, and he is also people on the station can hear this too, so not exactly a surprise. There's a knocking again from Jacobson inside of his cell. I'm gonna order something on this replicator that's in here. You guys don't mind, right?
Yeah, no.
Look at Haskins, like, is this for real?
Can you order something on the replicator for me?
What do you want?
Look, I just want some Bolian tea.
You can wait.
Alright, fine. Whatever. I mean, I'll mention this when we go to the station. Alright, fine.
Cruel and unusual punishment. Won't let me have my Bolian tea.
Jesus.
Meanwhile, back on the station. So they're trying to get people to the shuttlecraft to get them off the station. But there's a problem. There's not enough shuttlecraft and way too many people. The shuttle bays are swamped with panicking families trying to escape. There's also other aliens who were just stopping off at the station. Everybody's trying to escape at this point. But inside the bridge, there looks to be a small delegation of people, ranging from merchants to other crewmen, who are demanding to know more about the situation. Davenro looks at his aide and just says, I don't know, go deal with them. I don't know what's going on. And his assistant, who is about a young 5'6" woman with short blonde hair, just kind of nods and goes off to talk to them. It's at this point that you're trying to access the ship's... What was it? What was your plan again, Matt? Sorry, I seem to have forgotten in the last 20 minutes.
To get people off the ship or off the station?
No, the sonic stuff.
Oh, I didn't have a formulated plan yet. Probably, there's got to be a way that we could replicate sonic disruption even within the station. Using, I don't know, like the force field projectors.
There is a massive deflector dish.
Well, I'm saying like that stuff is inside too, though, so we could use it inside for that, and then the deflector dish on the out. But like we have to be able to target it, and it's inside already, isn't it?
The chief looks at you. It's like, that's fair. Yeah, we would need a place to direct the pulse. I'm not sure. We would have to essentially lure that thing out of wherever it's at, and then bombard it with the sonic waves. But that sounds incredibly risky. I'm not even sure how they're making it move about.
Can I scan for any background transmissions or oh actually can I'm gonna talk to Davros. What frequencies were you using to direct the entities away when you were using your comm relay? Can you see me those schematics?
I'm trying to remember it from memory, but I want to say it's, and he gives you a technical term that sounds familiar to you.
Sure.
That sounds like it's a frequency.
Okay. So I'm going to try, let's, does the station have a probe that can emit that frequency?
Davenor looks at you like, we don't have probes. We do have photon torpedoes.
Okay. So the first thing I want to do is see if there's a background transmission directing it with that. If there's something controlling, like what is controlling it, there's got to be something going on. So can I scan for that with the ship, with the station?
You can, and you're still communicating with the crew on the runabout, right?
Yeah.
So you two recognize when he mentions a frequency, you remember the strange frequency you encountered before the entity attacked.
Right.
Yeah.
The oscillating frequency that was painting the side of the ship.
I'm gonna see if I can isolate that, because we should have records, like sensor records of that, and like grab that information and then try and find if there's something else out there similar. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So that's yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's going to be reason plus science to try to figure a way to mirror the frequency.
I'm gonna. What's the difficulty?
Difficulty right now is going to be 3 because you're working with outdated equipment and you're trying to replicate a very specific frequency.
I'm gonna spend 3 momentum to get 2 dice. 1, 2. Well, there's 3. Are we still at 19 to 20?
We are.
Well, there's 3 successes and a complication. Which this is still the same scene, right?
It is.
Okay.
I'm going to say that you don't get any more information out of it, and that there is one complication in that what you're doing would be considered really messy. You have a way of generating the pulse, but figuring out how to pull it all together requires you to actually like move components about, and you'll be stripping down essentially the deflector.
Okay.
And the deflector is not the shields of the station; it's what it uses to keep atmospheric debris away.
Yeah.
Would I have knowledge, or because I'm trying not to meta this, but as a doctor, would I have knowledge that the frequency that's going to be used, would that be safe for humanoids?
It would be safe.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I'd get that warning out there if it wasn't. Before Matt melts everybody's face.
Yeah.
It's at this point, Matt, as you're trying to work, a lot of noise erupts inside of the bridge as that delegation that was dealing with the commander's assistant pushes their way past her and seems to intrude upon you guys working on your space. And there is just a small gentleman, a Tyrellian, who just looks very worked up and is like, I can't believe this. Your assistant says that we're all in danger and you're not giving us the information we need to defend ourselves? And over his shoulder, you see the assistant just be like, I'm trying. I tried to tell them that's not true, but that's what they want to believe. And the Tyrellian goes, no, that's exactly what you just said a minute ago.
Jeez.
Does the Tellurite have like a swoopy haircut? Demanding to speak to the manager?
No.
Because this isn't Starbucks, I'll shoot her.
Starbucks don't shooter.
No, I demand to know, what are you doing?
Oh, sure.
Can I look at the commander of the station for permission to just talk to this idiot?
Go ahead.
Look, the more time that we spend explaining to you what we are trying to do, the less time we spend actually doing it. So, please trust us to do the best we can to take care of this situation and go away.
Why can't you just turn over this informant? It's just one person. Why are they only after one person?
That is very classified.
Yeah, that doesn't do us any good.
And I start ignoring him.
I can explain everything to you. If you want to come over here real quick.
Hilarion walks over.
I'm going to use more technobabble than is absolutely necessary. Like, scads more. Like, if I needed a thimble full of technobabble, I'm going to use a 5-gallon bucket full of technobabble to explain exactly what I'm doing, and when they don't follow, I'm going to keep going and keep working at the same time.
And he's going to use a point of threat to essentially force you to stop and be like, I don't want to hear this gibberish. I'm here to sell my wares. I am not here to listen to any Starfleet, babble.
Oh.
I demand to know.
Oh, okay. Well, let me explain it a different way. If you don't get off the bridge where I'm trying to work and save us, I'll shoot you and remove you myself. Please leave the bridge, and I'll pull my phaser out, but I won't point it anywhere.
It's at that point that everyone on the bridge starts to erupt, kind of like and you see Commander Davenport be like, "What are you doing?"
You can write me up later. I'm trying to save us, and they won't get off the bridge. Run your station, please.
We're going to talk about this in a little bit.
I absolutely look forward to that.
And everybody worries about the Klingon.
The Davenport looks over at Lieutenant Commander Helmsley. Helmsley, just get them off the bridge. We will deal with this. Everything will be fine, and just try to help everybody get off. And the assistant kind of nods her head and tries to escort people out, and then security gets involved and gets them the rest of the way out of there. But Davenport just kind of like steely eyes right at you. He's not saying anything, but he is glaring at you.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, as you're working, trying to get your solution ready, alarms start to go off. On the main display, you see where it looks like a lot of Federation life signs are making their way into the shuttle base. But you see that strange energy signature, which you believe is associated with the snowflakes, is starting to move towards them.
Can I isolate it using force fields reinforced with sonic disruption?
That could be something you attempt. That will take a little bit of time. That sounds like a good idea.
So let's try that.
All right, that is going to be engineering plus reason, because you're trying to work on this on the fly. You're trying to apply your technical know-how. Halada, what are you trying to do while he's doing this?
So it's basically attempting to cut them off from leaving?
It might be trying to attack them. You're not exactly sure.
Okay. This is just a terrible situation, because, telling them something's incoming is only going to make them panic more.
You could direct them using, I don't know if the station has, the running lights. You could direct the people in a way away from it using, turning on running lights in the corridors, showing them which way to go. That would be faster.
Just a big circle around the station.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like an excellent idea. So I will work on doing that if the technology exists on the station to do it.
For you, that's gonna be more control plus con, because you're trying
Control.
to, yeah.
What's the difficulty?
Yeah.
For you, that's gonna be 2.
All right.
What's it for me?
I'm sorry, what's that, Matt?
What was mine?
3.
All right, I'm gonna give you 1 for threat, so you get an extra die, and then yeah, I got nothing. Can I apply computers as a focus since I'm using them to kind of reprogram the force fields?
Sure.
Sure. Cool. I got 5.
Yay! I'm going to use one of those momentum you just generated to buy a die.
Fantastic.
You said control plus con?
Yes.
I got 3 successes.
All right. So, Matt, you managed to make the shields appear. They've been reinforced with sonic disruptors that seem to be doing a good job of repelling the entities, but the entities are doing their best to kind of move through the conduits, to move through the decks. You're staying one step ahead of them, just barely. Amber, you managed to get a couple people out of the way. There are a couple of close calls where, the entities will appear, but then just then a force field will pop down and just protect the people. But it seems like everybody is now pretty well cordoned off in the shuttle bay, which, Matt, you've been able to put a barrier around it to protect them.
Fantastic.
As you two are doing that, because that does take a little bit of time, back on the runabout, the Cardassian is doing the best he can, and he is every step of the way. He is showing everything he's trying to do. But he's starting to look really nervous. And at one point, he just kind of stops and wipes the sweat from his forehead.
He's sweating in normal Federation. Well, he's nervous.
Yeah. All right. I'll let Haskins. Rosrin's gonna let Haskins maybe deal with the nervous Cardassian. He probably has a better bedside manner than Rosrin does. However, this may be a waste of time, and this may be extremely overly paranoid. But Rosrin would like to check the freaking replicators because I am suspicious. Because he's been eating all of this replicator crap, and then in the middle of all this stuff, he's asking for bullion tea. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do it. It may be a waste of time. It may be overly paranoid, but I'm gonna do it. I want to check. Roger wants to check the replicators.
All right, I'm gonna get to you in a second.
Okay.
But Haskins, what are you doing with the nervous Cardassian?
What's the problem, Davros?
I don't know. I don't want to die, obviously. I don't think that needs to be explained. But I don't know if I can get this working. I think it's going to work. I think I can create a pulse that would destroy the entity. And I've been keeping up with the commander over on the station. What if I die here? I mean, I agreed to turn over information. I agreed to turn over our technical data and what research information I knew. And I should have just stayed in the stockade. If I had been quiet, I'd have been in a penal colony, but wouldn't have been so bad. Now I'm about to die in space to what, I don't know. Are they like the babies of a crystalline entity? I don't know what it is, and I don't think anybody else does. And I'm really sorry that apparently I'm getting you killed.
Look, you're not Federation. We're here to serve. This is part of our duty. Yeah, you could have stayed in a penal colony, but what you're doing is going to help countless systems if we can get something to bring down the Orion Syndicate. So let's stop worrying about dying. It's going to happen either way. It's either going to happen today or it's going to happen 30 years from now. But either way, everybody dies.
Klingon therapy. Awesome. Awesome.
Worried about death? You should be, but later.
You should.
I will do everything in my power. I'm trying to be all Klingon. I will do everything in my power to make sure that you don't die today. So let's figure out what's wrong with the setup. I can help. Just show me what's giving you problems.
Okay, well, and he starts to point at several circuits, and from what you can tell, he is being very upfront. It looks like his device could work, but he seems just about as sure of his own creation as you do. So it doesn't look like he's lied at all. It just looks like it could work, and that it will do something, and it'll be a very intensive power drain, but you're not certain if it'll have the desired effect.
Can I use I'm a Dr. Nada to flex my medical into engineering to make sure we'll at least get off one successful shot?
Yeah. Go ahead. Can you roll for me your medicine, in this case, with your reason?
Okay. And yeah, difficulty?
Difficulty will be 2.
2? I'm going to buy a dice if we have enough in the...
We got plenty.
Okay, cool.
Do you want to? I don't know if you want to.
Oh shoot, that's a 1?
Yay!
11 and a 10, so that is 4 successes.
Yeah!
You find where there were some leaky circuits, were just like, they weren't doing what they were supposed to, and you managed to put them in the right configuration. It's still a gamble, but it won't drain the ship of as much power when it goes off.
And I'm going to help put Davros at ease, like, look, what do you think? You think that's going to make it?
Oh yeah, that's really good. No, I think that'll work. So as you two are working on that, Rosrin,
Checking these freaking replicators.
Jacobson ordered a really strange list of food, and looking at the table, he didn't touch most of it. He ordered plomeek soup, which Vulcans eat. He ordered a slice of Philadelphia cream cheesecake. It was like the actual brand name. He ordered some Sumerian cookies. He ordered a triple strength Ractigino, which he only had a sip of. And then it looked to be like, a dish resembling chicken Kiev. But he only took nibbles from each of it, and he just ordered it in a very specific order.
Alright. Can I, God damn it. See, this is why Rosrin is paranoid. This is why these things happen. He has the Ian Malcolm syndrome. That's what he has. Okay, so let's figure out this order. What order could this be? He's gonna try to decipher this now. Like, is it, if he's ordering them in a specific order, is that like a location? That must be some sort of signal somehow. Like,
Insight plus security.
Alrighty. Cool. Oh. 2 successes?
That was enough. You start to fiddle with the internal components of the replicator, and you start to realize that each of these dishes would send off a small code to the communication system on the runabout. And each time one of these dishes was ordered, it triggered a short burst that would only be detected as like subspace static. But it does look like the food, each time he ordered a specific one, it triggered off subroutines. And it looks like the antimatter problem that was triggered by the last food he ordered. You're muted.
Oh no, I'm mouthing because nobody wants to hear what I'm saying right now.
How much does Rosrin hate being proven right?
I'm sorry for all future games where Rosrin will just be like, no, this one time a replicator almost killed us.
Even worse, someone's going to order something with
Seriously.
a replicator. He's going to be like, "Why did you order that?" He's hungry. Look, I'm
He
eating
has
it.
enough to be paranoid about. Now he's paranoid about replicators. So yeah, okay, all right. Well, alrighty then. So, is there anything I can do about this now, or is this a hindsight is 2020 sort of situation? Like now I know how it happened, but there's nothing I can do about it now.
It looks like hindsight.
Or, damn it.
But you do know that it was Jacobson who accessed the replicator.
Oh, of course it was. Of course it was.
And in hindsight, it was probably a good thing we didn't let him order that Boolean tea, because that probably would have really screwed us over.
Probably.
You were still inside the system. Do you want to see? You're not actually typing in Boolean T, but do you want to see what it would have done?
Yeah. Totally checking that out. Being like, why is he ordering Boolean tea? You know, like looking. Yes.
It looks like Boolean T would have triggered a subroutine that would have beamed all the work that that the bridge crew is doing on the station to some far off location. So essentially, it would have given away what they were doing to defeat the entities.
Paranoia for the win.
Again, you guys should be more trusting. I don't see why this is necessarily paranoia. I mean,
Why should I be? What reason do I have in 2 seasons to be trusting? What reason? What reason? Okay, all right. Well, this is being passed along to relevant parties and saying, well, you know, this is what happened. You know, apparently one of our prisoners was given signals.
Is there a signature in that we can track on who programmed that in?
Guys will send over whatever you want, like any information you want to try to deal with that.
And as Rosalind's sending that across, you hear Haskins from working with, "Yeah, you just lost all your replicator privileges."
You don't see where the information was inputted. It looks like this code has been in here for a while. But conceivably, whoever inputted this code was the same person who sabotaged the runabout.
Somebody on the inside, probably.
Not to amp the paranoia, but was this runabout from the Serenitis?
Yeah, it's one of ours. The Wabash is one of ours, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you want to try to figure out where the information was going on the station?
Yes. Please try to figure that out.
The bridge crew can assist you with that. I say bridge crew because you two are on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
If you two would like to roll your insight plus security to try to trace where the communications were going.
Sure. What's the difficulty?
The difficulty is going to be 2.
Are we both rolling, or am I assisting?
I have good insight and security.
This is only for the people on the bridge.
Oh, okay.
Well, because the information's being beamed through there. It's whichever one of you wants to take point.
Yeah, I'll assist. That's fine. Oh. How many successes do we need? 2?
2.
Well, we have 2.
Excellent.
I'm really good at helping.
It's actually the signal is coming through a very familiar place. It's coming through the bridge of the space station.
Does it say which console?
It looks like it's coming from the office next to Commander Davenrose.
His assistants?
Its assistants.
Can I walk away from my station without losing, without the entities getting to the?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I'll show Chief Crookshaw kind of how I was doing it, and like how to keep it up, and then I'll walk away. I'll walk up to the to Commander Halada and say, do we want to inform the commander of the station, or just take care of this? He's already pissed at me. I don't mind taking more heat.
Let's tell him, because we really don't want to trip him over from very annoyed with us to straight up distrusting us completely.
Fair enough.
Commander, can we talk to you in your office?
Of course. And he walks into his office. It looks like he's ready for just an argument. You're here to tell me you can't tell me anything else. I'm just going to scream at this point.
I would definitely not call you aside to do that. That sounds horrible. We think, well, we know that some data was being transmitted through your, is it his second in command or his assistant?
Second in command, his executive officer.
Through your exo's office.
What? That can't be.
I'll like pull the data pad that I'm sure that I have it on and hand it over to him. This is what we pulled off the system, sir.
She's been here almost 2 years. She's been one of the best assistants I've ever had, and you're telling me that she's using the information, or she's feeding information back to the syndicate?
Sir, what I'm telling you is that the syndicate is nefarious and well placed and knows how to twist an arm. It may not be something she wants to do. It may be something she's being forced to do.
She has like one of the kindest personalities of anyone I know, but you're right. At the very least, we're going to detain her. And he taps his comm badge like, computer, where is Lieutenant Commander Headley? And the computer says Lieutenant Commander Headley is currently in Shuttle Bay 3, which is where all the survivors were being sent to.
And where she was ordered to be, because she's trying to get people on shuttles, so.
That's when Commander Davenport goes, I just told her to get people off the bridge. I don't know why she would necessarily be in the shuttle bay.
Ah.
Can we site-to-site beam her here?
He looks at the chief. He's like, Chief, get her in here. The chief tries to access the transporter, and he goes, I can't lock onto her signal. She appears to have some kind of scattering field.
Commander, can I take a look at it?
He steps aside. It looks like the sensors are detecting a very similar scattering field, similar to what is being used in the armbands on the runabout.
Since I know about the armbands, is there a chance I could bypass it?
No, because you have no way to access that technology. It's not like it's not Bluetooth enabled.
Sure.
I like using modern metaphors. Yeah.
No, that's fair. And there's no way to get security in there because they're force fielded in.
You could possibly go after her.
Commanders, permission to take her into custody. Myself.
Davenport, granted, but take Commander Halata with you.
So we're going. We do want to do this as fast as possible because I want you primarily working on keeping that entity locked down.
I will. I'll point out to the chief where to put us, so that we're kind of V'd at her. And then I will like crouch down into like a crouching stance with my phaser already out.
I will do the same.
Okay. He beams you into part of the station. It looks like you're being just outside of the shuttle bay. You look to your left and you see the crystalline entities trying to make their way around one of the sonic fields you've erected. Looking at it pretty closely, they're teeny tiny little crystalline snowflakes that just dart back and forth and try to jam into the force field. From the far side of the room, you hear someone just be like, you shouldn't have come here. Why are you here? And you turn around, and you're not surprised because you have your phasers out, but you see Commander Headley with what looks to be an enormous device in her hands that's glowing, and she just looks simultaneously terrified, but also kind of resigned. Like, you really should go.
Lieutenant Commander Headley, you are being taken into custody by order of the commander of the station.
You don't understand. I am basically dead at this point, and I'm the only thing keeping that entity from killing everyone in there.
I'm pretty sure you're the reason that entity is on the station.
Yes and no. it's not my fault. They gave me this device. They told me when to activate it, and they gave me these. I'm working with someone, and they would send me little clues about when to activate the device. But right now, like, I have really no control over it because it's mostly automated. But right now, I am using the device to try to keep the entities from killing everyone because they're very hungry entities. They need to feed or they will die.
Can I scan the device with my tricorder?
You can. It is emitting high levels of radiation, or no, not radiation. It's emitting frequencies that you can't quite hear, but it looks like it is scooping the entities along and guiding them.
Can I reprogram it?
She retreats back from you and is like, "No, you can't. You can't mess with this. Look,
You can let me mess with it, or I can mess with it anyway."
look, just if you give them your brother, everything will be fine.
My brother isn't the informant.
No, brother's apparently a loose end. They want to kill your brother, and they want to kill that Cardassian.
Sorry, Halana, this is going to be a long talk with the captain, I'm sure, and I'm just going to shoot her.
Okay.
I'm set to stun. I'm not killing her. That would be wrong.
Oh. Okay, that's better.
No. I just set it to stun so that she drops, and I will run over and deal with the thing. Do you want me to go ahead and attack her?
Go ahead and make the roll, just because she is going to have a little bit of cover, so it'll make it more difficult for your aim.
Sure.
Go shoot the box.
I'm going to use 3 momentum. I'm going to use 3 momentum. I don't care. Shoot extra dice.
I'm going to cancel that with threat.
Okay, so you're going to spend 3 threats.
Yep.
So I'm back down to 2 dice.
Thank you, audience.
Fantastic. No, that's nothing I can do there. Cool. Here we go. Hand phasers is us. Focus. Hooray. I needed a 2, right?
Yep.
So I got a crit and not a success. So I got 2.
You hit her and stun her, where she tries to dodge, but you get her pretty squarely in the chest, so she falls down. The device clanks on the ground and starts to pulsate wildly.
Can I rush over and try and stabilize it or redirect them off of the station?
I'm not gonna make you roll with this, just when you get up to it. You really set the device. It's high technology, but at the same time, it wasn't really assembled to last.
Sure.
This device will only function for so long before apparently it'll just self-destruct. And it seems rather confusing. You've not encountered any kind of device like this. It's not like far-off alien technology. It's just more like you're being handed a theremin and expected to know how to play a theremin. But you think you might be able to figure out the signal, and from what you can understand, it looks like there is a guiding device on it that can send out a ray that essentially it's a laser targeter.
Okay.
But you're not certain what else it can really do. This device seems like it would take a lot of mastery to learn how to use.
We're in the shuttle bay?
You're just outside of it.
So how could I use the laser targeter to point them outside of the station?
You could, but it would be risky because you're not completely certain how the device works, but you think you could.
Commander, step back, please. Just in case.
Sure, I'm gonna, drag the lieutenant commander with me and restrain her.
Be like a cat, just sit on her chest.
I mean...
Like, meow.
Whack her in the face with your tail a few times. I'm gonna go ahead and do my best. It's like a reason engineering roll.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna spend my determination.
Okay.
Use my value. New technology can teach us.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. Like this is the things I'm built for, right? And
Just
then
it's difficulty 4 because it's a strange device.
that's fair. I'm also gonna give you a threat to get another dice for bold engineering. So that gives me 2 successes, plus barely 2 other successes. Yay!
You can use some momentum too. Did you use momentum?
I could,
Yeah,
but I'm good. I only needed 4. That gave me the 4.
Okay, cool.
So 4 successes.
When Kennedy used the threat to block yours, did that wipe out our momentum? I'm confused.
It wiped off the momentum I used.
Okay.
It's a 1-for-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think you know how to direct it. Using the display, you can make it move short distances, but it looks like the device is trying to tell you that the entities are hungry, and if they don't feed soon, then the device can no longer guarantee that it can control them. But you seem to have brief control of the swarm for now.
Davros? Davros? His name is Davros, right?
Yeah.
Where do I need to put these?
For our pulse thing,
Yeah.
can you just send them outside the station real quick, and we'll lock on and try not to blow up our runabout?
I'll point them in the right direction.
Okay. And that's when Davros turns to the two of you and is like, clear on this, right?
Give it our best shot.
Could die. Probably my fault, and I'm very sorry.
I checked it over. We're gonna be fine. Just let's do this. Press the button. Fire it.
Just making sure. Just want you to know.
And now we need a new doctor and a new chief of security. It's fine.
Outside the station, this magnificent snowstorm essentially appears, and slowly starts to coalesce into like about the 12-foot long fragment that's floating in space. Although it's clear that it keeps wanting to just go back towards the station, but for now it's floating in the middle, or not in the middle. It's floating just outside the station. As Davros starts to hit a couple of buttons on the console, power starts to drain out of systems and the lights go out. The force field in the brig is still operational, but essentially...
I was gonna say, because if I have to whack on a jerk, then I'm gonna whack on him.
Sorry, just trying to remember my steps over here. You realize that as the power is draining, a couple more security protocols are starting to activate inside of the runabout. So in order to keep it, functioning, you're both going to be needed to fire off the beam. So I'm going to have Keed. Let me look at my notes again. There we go. So Keed, you are going to need to do control plus engineering to help make sure that the ship stays together long enough to fire off the pulse. And that's going to be difficulty 3.
Ooh.
And Rosrin, you are going to need to do control plus security to make sure that the rest of the systems operate as fluidly as they can. I know you've been going through and picking out corrupt pieces of code from the system, but you've only had so much time.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's also going to be difficulty 3.
We have 3 momentum, but we can always give them a threat.
Yeah,
Alright,
I would like to
buying
use one of my values if I can. Or I'm doing a roll on my own, right? Or am I just assisting?
Yeah, all on your own.
Oh, okay. Then I'd like to use my value as well. Lives are sacred. Like he's trying to save people.
I'd like to use one of
Can I
my
do that?
values as well in one of my points of determination.
So once you use your 1 point of determination, unless you've gained one during the game, that is
Oh, we
all
only
the
have one.
determination.
That's right.
Yeah, you only have
I'm
the
sorry.
one. You can do stuff if we had a really nice GM.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying.
Because, okay, so I'm going to buy another dice for threat.
Okay.
So,
So that's 2 threat. Because you bought one with momentum, right?
Yep.
That's apparently also refilled our momentum. So
Oh.
thank you, chat.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Matt, don't you
Alright.
want me to win for a change?
Nope.
Well,
And
then
one
can
of-
I buy one then? If
Yeah,
we have
absolutely.
full momentum? Okay, so I'm gonna roll these 3, and I used my value.
Okay.
So
Sure.
What was my target number 3?
3.
It's a 9, a 9, and 11. That is 3 successes. So
I got 2 on the dice, and I rolled a 19, which I think is a complication.
But you also got 2 from your
Yeah,
spending your
I have
determination.
4 total and I have 4 total and a complication. 4 successes and a complication.
Okay.
I think you still have a reroll too.
mm-hmm.
Oh,
You do.
I will
And there's
use
one for
that
the table
then,
as
which I'm
well.
not to have. I will use that. Ella's trying to get in good with me. I see that. Oh, the 2! I'll take that. So 5 successes.
All right. You managed to get keep the systems online long enough. The power drain is incredibly massive, and several consoles spark as they overload with energy. But the runabout fires off a massive pulse, and I know people at home are going to be like a sonic pulse in space. It's more a subspace communication thing, but it hits the swarm, which pulsates wildly until it explodes, with just teeny tiny pieces of shrapnel just flying throughout space. The pulse blankets the area with energy just to make sure it's gotten all of them, before eventually it dies out. A side effect, though, is that the runabout is barely functioning at this point, where multiple systems are offline. It's not about to explode, but you've drained the power capacities of the ship just to fire off this pulse. And it's at this point that you see a very familiar person outside of his brig.
No,
And he's got a phaser.
how do you get a phaser?
Why
How did
hasn't
you get
Vin
that?
shot him already? Come on, Vin. Get on it.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, we're done here. I have my rifle, so he's getting.
Yeah, and he's like,
Done.
and don't you draw that rifle. I'm just going to go, and I'm going to order some food. And we're just going to leave it at that. He starts to back away towards the replicator, and he's put his
Shoot it.
hand on it.
Shoot
All
him.
right, no, okay.
No.
First, I'm gonna shoot the replicator.
Before he can fire, it's actually, you see Vin tackle him out of nowhere. Full on body
No,
tackle.
Vin! Yes.
They are currently struggling.
Yeah.
On,
Nice.
Are you two doing anything to intercede?
Oh, well, I'm not stopping him from being the shit out of Jacobson. If you think that's what I'm doing, I'm not doing that.
I'm diving into it with my house knife out.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Jacobson got stabbed.
Fix it.
That's what you're Vin, just out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, that's happening. Rajman's gonna shoot the replicator just for good measure.
This runabout's getting trashed.
And Bar's gonna be so pissed.
Yeah.
Why did you shoot the
Well, it
replicator?
was
He was gonna beam out.
necessary.
That's not how they work.
Necessary. Necessary.
Okay, so you're trying to break up the fight, and you're grabbing Jacobson.
Well, not so much grabbing him because I feel like Vin is on top of him, right?
Yeah. Well, no. Jacobson managed to roll over and is starting to. It's an even fight.
It's the classic knife to the throat, stop moving, or it's over.
Just let me go, man.
Not
I just
gonna
want to get
happen.
out of here.
It's not gonna happen. You knew that this was gonna. You knew where you were going after this. You're going to trial.
You just don't get it, man.
No, I don't think you get it. I don't think you get what we're gonna do as the Federation, and I can't.
All right.
I want to cover with
fair.
a rifle if I can. Like,
I'm
just cover him with a rifle.
All right. I wish it had come to this, but apparently it has. Well, nice seeing you. And with that, he kind of grabs the end of his nose and he twists it in a certain fashion.
Son of a.
His eyes roll back and he starts to. You see
God.
like, his veins start to turn blue.
Quick, save
gonna,
it.
I'm trying to. I
That's
grab
been-
the med kit, yank it down. I'm gonna start applying like generalized generalized purges that will purge the bloodstream of toxins.
Use your
I don't
Klingon
have all my
medicine.
medical
Punch him.
stuff up.
I'm gonna say that you're able to keep him from dying, but he's in a coma.
God. Well, all right, whatever. It's fine.
There's
He
things
clearly had some kind of subcutaneous implants there that were activated with specific gesture, and he's not dead, but it's unlikely he's gonna wake up.
I
Ever.
think we might be able to do something about that, though.
No.
Certain neural interface in the gamma quadrant that might work.
Well, you'll have time. I'm certainly not missing his company. So.
Oh, goodness.
By the way, the Cardassian, by the way, is just sitting in his chair and almost reflexively just has his hands up, like not doing anything, just chill, super chill, all the time.
See, I
Beat a
told
sweat.
So with the help of the crew of the station, with the destruction of the entity, you managed to get the runabout back on board. Meanwhile, a starship has finally made it to the station. Weirdly, the Miradorn cruiser, at the last minute, made a sharp deviation and did not arrive at the station. But the Heracles has arrived. It's an ambassador-class vessel, and it has a full complement of Starfleet crew, and they're doing their best to help people. But right now you have Lieutenant Commander Headley in custody, and Commander Davenrow is now in his briefing room with all of you, and he's just heard what the steps you took to activate the pulse. But his eyes are just glaring at all of you.
Understandably. Quick aside, like with the frequencies we have now, can we help that one crewman, or did they make it? They not make it?
They made it. They were already hurt. The entities fire a little ray essentially that drains life.
Okay.
So he'll live. Unfortunately, the dead crewman is still dead.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know if it was still attacking, like
No.
from the description. So
No, but it was very painful.
yeah,
Um,
can't fix that.
Davenrow is like, so I guess it's in the open to us. The Syndicate infiltrated my station to try to kill you using a strange entity, which I imagine the Federation is going to deem classified. And I'm really glad that we've all made it through this. However, it's at the cost of one of my technicians' lives. So anything else you want to tell me? Anything else I should know?
We deeply regret that it came here. Honestly, we just wanted to get from point A to point B.
Wish that had happened as well. Seems like the Heracles, though, will be transporting you the rest of the way. And I've been instructed to give you whatever you need before you leave my station.
I am hopeful that we can keep that list very small.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yeah, really.
Don't let the airlock hiss.
I am hopeful that we can keep that list very small, because I know that us being here has been basically a horrible thing for you.
What? Well, then you may go. Moving forward a little bit, you get on board the Heracles with Ven. Ven has black eye, a deep blue black eye, but looks pretty proud of himself. And he's been filling your ear with just all the brave things he did on the runabout.
Roswell will be behind him, either shaking his head or nodding, depending on if it's true or not.
Ben, remember when I told you everything would be okay?
Yeah.
That's what Starfleet does. That's why I joined.
and you got some help from me. I mean, come on.
did.
I mean,
You did. And without you, who knows what would have happened? He probably would have activated another subroutine that, I don't know, summoned Q or something.
they can do that.
God.
I don't, I didn't think he could do this. I'm going to have a conversation with our technicians to see if we're doing the right levels of checks when we get back.
Well, he just goes on and on. He's like, now I have a good ending for my book. You all get like just kind of like one of the security officers approaches and says, the prisoner would like to speak with you.
Which one?
Well,
Davros.
one's
other one-
comatose.
Yeah,
Well, that would have
that's
been
cool.
more surprising. I was concerned.
Davros has been upgraded to kind of like his own suite.
Yeah.
Still as a
He earned that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to use a
Hogger.
replicator, though.
And he's excited to see you. It's like, I'm so glad that we all made it through there, and I didn't kill us all, which is great. I'm really sorry though that the Syndicate tried to kill you.
It's part of being Starfleet, I guess.
Well, hey, you all worked together, and we managed to defeat a killer snowstorm. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your help on that.
We'll be sure to report it, and maybe it will help influence decisions.
I'm just hoping, with all due respect, I'm just hoping once I get to that station that I'll be safe.
Understandable. And we hope so too.
Just remember, don't live in fear. You're doing the right thing. You're helping the quadrant.
Hopefully my research can help. I don't know what it is that I know that they think is worth killing over, but we'll find out. Shame about Jacobson, though. I never trusted him, but feels like we could have gotten more out of him.
Yep.
Well, and with that, that is the end of our episode. Kind of like, that slow fade out. Chat, thank you. You helped our heroes. The actions that everybody chose went a different path from what I had planned, which is why I kept talking up the threat game. And then I'm like, oh, they're not going that way. Oh, they found a better way. Oh, two of them stayed on the runabout. All great choices. That's the great part about being a game master, where occasionally your players come up with really cool and just solutions you never even expected. And, I don't want to be that game master that goes, no, you have to face the threat now. I want you to die.
I tell you one thing, that last engineering roll, since I already blew my talent, I'm like, oh, I'm going to kill us all.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you all for checking in. Next week is our last Voyages of the season. It's very sad, but we'll be doing this again soon. Is it
Yeah, it's the last one of this half of the season. So we still have another second half of season 2.
Yeah.
That's right,
that'll
yeah.
be starting up in January. But yeah, this will be the last one for that. And then, we still got By Leaps and Bounties. There's other stuff coming up. On Saturday, there is a Seriously Let's Play that I'm forgetting the name of the game, but Greg LaRose, who was on the the X-Crawl game. I'm sorry, what was that? You're breaking up really bad. So it's Slay something, second
Slay
edition.
Industry 2nd edition.
There we go. Slay Industry 2nd edition will be on Saturday. Greg is running that. Greg was on our X-Crawl show. And
Gentleman Jay!
Yeah, well, I mean, Greg was great. Tried to kill my brother twice tonight. Twice.
Cold-blooded.
Look.
So yeah, you should definitely come out on Saturday for that. A week from today is the last episode of this part of the season. Leaps and Bounties is going to be on Tuesdays for a little bit, unless they all get eaten by a Kraken tomorrow, which is not my vote. And then, keep an eye out because we've got stuff coming up. I know that there's talk about some other things that are coming. We've got a bunch of good games. I know John's got something planned for a little bit of an ongoing or a long bit of a long ongoing. I'm not positive on exactly what the plan for that is, but I know he's got stuff working. So that's exciting. So, keep your eye out on what we're doing. And, if you hit that follow button, you get an email and maybe even a notification every time we go live, so you'll be able to come and watch all of our stuff. And if you subscribe, it helps us out a little bit. If you subscribe and you're an Amazon Prime member, you can subscribe for free and take money out of Amazon's pocket and give it to us instead. That's always a good thing. Fight the mega corporations. If I've learned anything from Shadowrun, it's that. So do your part, chummer. That's what I'm gonna go with. But otherwise, yeah, that's it. Don't forget Facebook. Or I'm not. It's not Facebook. Twitter and Discord and YouTube.
TikTok.
You should definitely check our old stuff out on YouTube.
And TikTok, we
should.
got a lot of fun clips.
Oh yeah,
on
the
TikTok.
Tickety Talks.
The ticket
Yes.
talk.
Clock out. Have fun.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you guys for coming out. We appreciate it.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.